All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Monday, July 21st. And folks, this was quite the interesting day. It is a bit of an opposite perspective from what we got in the morning. We had a lot of high beta names going up and to the right. And although some of them have been able to maintain some of their momentum, the vast majority of them have gotten hit, which is kind of what I think a lot of people expected in the morning. It just felt a little bit too frothy. And then after the market opened, it got even more frothy. And now things are coming back down a little bit to reality. Opendoor, which we'll talk about. I looked into this stock a lot more today. It peaked at 497 today. From 497, went all the way back down to around 260. It opened the market today at around 260. And now it's back down to 314. Or it's back up from 260 at 314. Is this a buying opportunity? I don't know. Is this something where you sell if you bought at 170 because it might not have a chance to get back to 497 again? I don't know. I mean, quite frankly, I think anyone would be just guessing at these levels unless you have a supreme conviction that this stock does deserve to be worth $82, which is what the sort of meme is going around for Opendoor. However, what I can say is this red candle that you're looking at right here, I was watching that happen in real time. It happened in almost seconds. Literally happened in almost seconds. I mean, it was at 497 and then boom, right down to like 403, then boom, right down to 350, then boom, back down to 280, then to 260, and now it's recovering here again. So either it could have been a market maker dumping, a hedge fund dumping, right? They might have bought in the morning, put out the algorithmic signals to be able to get other hedge funds to collaborate and get this to go higher. And then at the same time, they all could have dumped. It also could be dilution. I don't really know if we're going to get any dilution from Opendoor. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't, but that could be happening. Or it could just be people taking profits. It's just, I find it kind of odd that everyone literally at that moment decided to take profits, but maybe that's the case as well. So Opendoor still up 37% in the day. It was up 94% before this dump. Just an incredibly volatile day. But it's not just Opendoor. Robinhood down 3.5%. Rocket Lab down 8%. Hims down 5%. SoFi down 2.5%. You know what's not down? Google's up 2.6%. Meta's up 1.4%. And Amazon's up 1.3%. So I think this is actually very, very healthy. Although I have a big Robinhood position and I would love for Robinhood to keep making all-time highs, I think it is very normal and sort of like good that Robinhood a week before earnings can maybe consolidate around this 100 to 105 range. I mean, if we can get back to 110, that's great. But if we don't, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Rocket Lab, as much as I'm a fan of Rocket Lab, I do think it's pretty expensive. When it was at 53, it's back at 47. I think that's fine. Given Rocket Lab bottomed at 15 back in April. So I think a lot of the consolidation we've been seeing, at least on a day like this, and maybe today's an anomaly, maybe tomorrow everything's going to be running again. Maybe tomorrow things are going to go down even further. By the way, Google right there at 190 up 2.7%. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but it does feel rather healthy that some of these names are taking a breather. Like that is okay for them to do. Amazon right here, 229. That's getting some green. Again, Google was at 190. Then Meta was at 694 last week, back to 712. I think part of the reason that the Mag 7 are running, at least some of them, Tesla's relatively flat on the day. Apple's relatively flat. Microsoft did hit all-time highs, but then it became flat. I think part of the reason they're running is because they have earnings coming up. And we'll talk more about Tesla and Google earnings as we get into the close, but those earnings are anticipated to be very strong earnings. And as long as they can deliver, then I think the street will be very happy. And as a result, the street might be front running them a little bit right here. Google 190. If it gets a 190 close, it'll be the first 190 close since January on Google. Since January, if we get there. So shout out to all the Google bulls. It's doing well. My calls are now only down like $2,000. I think at one point they were down $8,000 a couple months ago. So that one's starting to recover. And Google's getting some momentum. S&P 500 right here, 628. Now, the S&P also fell when Opendoor fell. We hit 631.54. That was an all-time high. Now it's back down to 628. Still basically at all-time highs, but obviously there has been some red candles throughout the day. It was up 0.5%. Now it's up 0.18. If we can close above 628, I think that would be nice to see. But you are seeing some risk come off the table. You are seeing some risk come off the table. Let me know in the chat if anyone took some risk off the table. I mean, we can just go through a bunch of these names. Let me go through the portfolio that we made today, or the watch list of all the heavy short names. TMC down 7%. Yeah, look at them. Almost all of them are red. JetBlue down 0.5%. D-Wave down 2%. American Airlines down 1.4%. ASTS, that was at 60. That's down 1.4%. Red Cat, that's down 16% for some reason. Don't know why that's down 16%, but that's getting hit. SoFi's down 3%. Hims is down 5%. Big Bear's down 7%. Soundhound's down 8%. Accelera's still holding 515, but if you bought at 580, you're probably upset because it's down from 582. Recursion Pharmaceuticals was at 715. Now it's at 640. And then Opendoor was at 497. It looks like it might close above $3 right now at 329. Weeble, where's Weeble? Weeble was at 16. Wow. Weeble, 1472. Huh. Goodness, dude. Even that one took a beating, down 12%. And again, they didn't even dilute. They just announced the terms of the agreement of the future dilution, which the street had already known about. So I guess there was something in those terms that maybe got the street upset, or maybe they're anticipating some dilution soon. But Weeble back under 15. So as you can see, it's a little bit risk off. It's a little bit risk off. So where was Oscar? Oscar was up at 1450. Oscar back down to 1379, but still green. Not crazy. Not crazy at all. Nathan said I gave my portfolio a mani petty. Sometimes you got to give your portfolio a mani petty, and that's okay. Why is Hood dropping? Because Hood was pumping to an astronomical level over the past 2 weeks. I have zero concern right now about this being at 105. If you have covered calls, those are probably printing. Again, you can roll those covered calls down as well based on your strikes to if you want to collect some more premium. Obviously, you have to be just cognizant of the fact that if Hood does a U-turn, then those calls will be underwater. So you have to be sure of that. But look, down 4% is not an issue. And I think the reason it's dumping, there's no fundamental reason. In fact, there's actually a really bullish reason that came out this morning around trading volumes that we'll talk about in a bit. That's actually very good for Hood, Coinbase, Webull, IBKR, all good for all the brokerages. But in general, it's had a lot of good news. Even with Ethereum and Bitcoin running the way it is, people are taking profits. And I think that's really fair. I don't think that's an issue. Even Bitcoin 160. Well, that's one of your reasons why Hood is down. Bitcoin from 120 to 116. I didn't even know Bitcoin was down that much. Ethereum, are we still at 3,500? We are at 37. We were at 38 in the morning. So at least we're holding that 3,700 level. Hood's still up 5% a week from ago. Yeah. I mean, dude, I also like that it's dumping going into earnings, because being at 115 at earnings or 110, a little tough to outperform. If it gets down to 105, 107, it has a much more healthy trajectory to show us a good earnings, which I don't think is too crazy. S&P 500 right here, 628. We got 8 minutes until the market closes. Pound here, relatively flat day. I mean, down 1.3%, nothing too crazy. Rocket Lab is getting hit, down about 8%. Dogecoin was at 28 cents. Now it's at 26 cents. Coinbase was at 440 this morning. Now it's at 418. SharpLink Gaming, SBET down 12%. So the Ethereum treasury is getting hit. I didn't look at BTBT yet. That one is down 14%. BMNR, how bad is that? That's down 7%, below 40. Risk off. A little bit of risk off, and that's okay. Is UNH green? UNH being green would make sense today. Wow. Dude, UNH pile of shit, dude. Goodness, you would think this one goes green on a day where risk is coming off the table. No, UNH is down as well. It's not actually a pile of shit. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that one is red today. All right, so some of the value names are getting momentum, like a Verizon that had good earnings today. That one's up about 4% with their nice divvy. But other names, I mean, look, I like if you bought Opendoor when it was running from 4 to 415 to 420 to 430, 440. I mean, guys, 1.79 billion shares were traded today on Opendoor. 1 million calls were traded today on Opendoor. So I think someone in the chat said they bought at 417 and then it dumped to like 350. And I mean, you had a chance to get out after 417 at 420, 430, 440, 450, 460, 470, 480, 490. Or you had a chance to double down, or you had a chance to buy more, and now you're holding, and now you have to wait until it gets back into that 4. I mean, this is really hard to time this stuff. It is really hard to time this stuff. And so for everyone's personal strategy, let me know in the chat if anyone bought it, sold it, made some profits on it. I mean, some of the screenshots I'm seeing on Twitter are crazy. Now, granted, some of those screenshots, people didn't really take profits. So those screenshots were an hour ago. Now the stock is down 30% from where it was. It's one of those things. And again, psychologically, if you bought this thing at 80 cents and you just saw like an entire move of your portfolio go down in seconds, you might feel a little jaded by that and might want to sell. And that could contribute to more selling pressure. But if you miss that big move and you feel like this is your dip to buy, you might be the person to buy those person's shares. So it's one of those things where this game is going back and forth. And I don't know if we get a conclusion to it anytime soon. I do have some more DD on Opendoor that we'll talk about after the close. But in general, this one has been an incredibly volatile stock today, down about 50 or up about 50%. Webull continues to go down 1464, down 13.5%. And then Coinbase down 1, SharpLink Gaming down 12. Astera Labs, this one's been great. I don't think there's any fundamental reason, but that was up 19% on the day. So it seems like more of a breakout. CoreWeave was about 1%. It was up 7% at one point. Uber kind of flat. Rocket Companies, that's up 7. The VIX was up 1.7. VIX is still below 20. We haven't seen VIX above 20 in a while. But VIX was green on the day. Took 12,000 of profit, left my original investment. That's the way to do it. You take your profit and kind of let the rest ride, knowing that you at least have some profit here, which is not the worst thing. Joby's down 5, Archer's down 11. See, even, and Joby, again, if you own Joby, you can't complain about this because this thing was like $10 a week and a half ago. I think it was even below $10. Now it's at $16.90. Okay, it's down 5%. And then Archer was at 9 2 weeks ago, pumped up to 13. Now it's at 11, down 10%. Archer probably following Joby. My takeaway from all of this is anyone who got into these names 2 weeks ago is a little upset that they're down 5 to 10% because obviously your portfolio went down, but you can't be angry. You definitely can't be like, goodness, what does the market not get about this? It's like, I'm not saying the market doesn't understand Hood now that Hood's down below 105, given, the stock was $30 like 3 months ago, right? So it's one of those things where you kind of just let the market consolidate a little bit. We're getting into the end of July. Maybe we're going to get some weakness right here, which is okay. Or it could be one of those days where people are getting ready to move back higher tomorrow as you have a leg down, which is very healthy. And then maybe we get some macro data from Powell or the Fed or anything else. By the way, speaking of Powell, we have some stuff to talk about. These guys, and when I mean these guys, I mean some Republican congressmen and women are really trying to go after this guy, like in a legit way. So we'll talk more about that. Duolingo right here down 4%. This one is the gift that keeps on giving. Oscar right here up 1.5. That's dumping into the close. Rocket Lab down 8%. Where it's a dumpy day into the close. It's a dumpy day. It's been about 2 weeks since we've had a real dumpy day, but across the board, we're getting some dumps. And I think that's okay. Do we sell something before August? Quite frankly, it's up to how you want to manage the port, right? If you have a heavy position in a SoFi, and you're up a lot because your average is 7 and you want to take some off the table, sure. But if you want to hold SoFi for the next 10 years, these are the questions I think that's very important to ask people or ask yourself when you're trying to figure out how you want to navigate this. Google, right? If you've been buying the dip on Google all year, I would not be selling here. I'm not selling here. I want this I think this is 225 intrinsic value, 200 after earnings if Sundar gives us something good and we hold on. Now, could Google dump? Sure. And maybe you want to take some of your profits right now because of the fear of it dumping. But if you're holding Google for the next 5 years and you finally got a breakout and your average is like 160 because you've been DCAing, it doesn't feel like the most opportune time to sell. But then again, if you have a Hood and you don't really care about holding Hood for the next 10 years and you're a little bit over leveraged, yeah, selling some Hood right here going into earnings, not crazy. Now, if Hood crushes and this thing moons, it is what it is. But if it dumps because the earnings are just not that good or they can't live up to the expectations and it goes back down to 95, you just have to be comfortable with whatever route the stock goes based on your own personal risk tolerance. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to understand around Opendoor, because a lot of people want someone to tell them what to do on this. And with a volatile name like this, no one can tell you. You got to be able to make your own decisions here in regards to how this one is playing out. So Google and Amazon, again, great day. Opendoor right here, still going to close probably up 40%, but it is red. I am very curious. We got the market close in 2 minutes. Are we going to get any news of dilution? Because again, this red candle you're seeing, it had to be manufactured. There's no way retail woke up at what time was this? At basically 3:25 p.m. and said, hey, we're going to dump. You just don't have the volume to be able to do, or the coordination of volume to do that. It has to be something where either hedge funds are coming together, money managers are coming together, or there's some leaking of news that there's going to be dilution, and maybe there already was dilution. I think we'll find out after hours if anything was that bad. BM&R right here down about 6%. Google looks like it's going to get the 190 close. Hoodie's probably going to get below 104. Oscar right here, 1360, and then Ethereum, 3,700 as we end out the day. Yeah, 35 million shares were dumped in that candle. That's probably not all retail on their Robinhood deciding to collectively dump. So maybe we'll get some more detail soon. But I do have some more DD on it, good and bad. So I'll share everything I found today. And we'll talk about Tesla. We'll talk about Google. We'll talk about Powell potentially getting prosecuted. And then we will keep going from there. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is Monday, starting off the week, July 21st, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, Opendoor closes the day from 497 to 320, but still up from 260 in the morning, up 42%. After hours, it's already moving up 3%. 1.83 billion shares were traded. Over 1 million calls were traded. Market cap is now 2.34 billion. It is up 500% in the past month. 500% in the past month. That's what we got on Opendoor. Robinhood, close of the day, nasty 5% decline. Rather healthy in my opinion, but 104.34, that is down on the day. Again, my sort of basic thoughts here is that people took some risk off the table, and that's okay. Google gets a 190 close for the first time since how long? It's been, let's see, last time it was at 190. Yeah, dude, literally February. February was the last time it was even touching 190. That's when it dumped from 206 to 195, and then it just had a downtrend down to 140.36 in April. Gave you another chance at 147 after that Apple Perplexity news came out, and now right here at 190 to close out the day. Not too bad on Google. BM&R down about 6% on the day. UNH was down. It was basically flat on the day, but it still was red. So UNH was red. Verizon up 4%. They had a good earnings. Joby was down 5%. Archer was down 11%. S&P closed at 628.73. Not all-time highs, but that one is still green on the day. Roblox was flat. Rocket Lab down 8%. I think that's healthy, but a little painful if you're heavily in Rocket Lab. Coinbase down 1.4% after going to 440. Plug Power, that was up 0.2%. Astera, big mover today, 19%. A-Lab. Sharplink Gaming, 12% down from the Ethereum treasuries. I also have some more Ethereum updates that we'll talk about in a bit. SoFi down 3%, but it's holding the 20s, which is very important. Accelera was up 15%. Navitas was up 40% at one point. 948, it topped 847, closed, still up 24% of the day. TMC was down 8%. AMD was flat on the day. Where was NVIDIA? I think that was a little red. 171, that was flat. Grab, I did buy more shares at 528 today. Oh, wow. Why is it moving after hours? Why is it 546 after hours? Huh. It wasn't 546 until this morning. I will check if there's any news on that, but that is 548 after hours. It could be just algos pumping it after hours. But yeah, Grab right there. Got to 560 in the morning, came all the way down to 525. I think I bought at 528. And after hours, that's at 545. Ethereum 3,700, Bitcoin 116.7. SMCI was down a little bit on the day. Dell was down 2% on the day. Broadcom was up 1.72. TSM was flat on the day. Micron was down 1%. Meta was up. And then the SMH, the ETF, was also flat. And that's what you have on the day. Let me see if there's any news on Grab. I mean, it usually doesn't make moves like that after hours. But I will see. No, I don't see any news. It doesn't make a move like that after hours. So I think there has to be news. It really doesn't move like that at all after hours. So I'll see. Could also just be algos, though. It could be algos. Cool. So that's what we got. That's what we got on the day, as we had one of our first high beta red days. This was not a red day. This was a high beta red day. If you are heavily allocated towards high beta, like Reddit, for example, I bet Reddit was down 2% today. Reddit, yeah, 1.2%. So I mean, some of the, and again, that's not that crazy. 1.2%, 2%, that's not horrible. Even 5%, it's not crazy. But nonetheless, this was one of those days where high beta took a little bit of a beating, and that's okay. I think that's okay for some of these names to relax a little bit as they had pretty strong weeks going into today, which is Monday, July 21st. All right, so let's get into some headlines. First of all, we got a bunch of things to talk about in terms of specific stocks. Again, we'll talk more about Opendoor and some things I found on that. One of those guys, Eric Jackson, who's like the dude who's pumping it, he did an interview today, and I just want to share a little bit about what he said, and you guys can decide if that makes sense or not. Here was the big story of the day that really, I mean, I'm curious what you guys think of it, but Powell is now under potential federal criminal investigation. He's being referred to by Representative Anna Paulina Luna for his $2.5 billion renovation to the Federal Reserve Building. So he's been referred to the DOJ, the Department of Justice, for criminal charges of perjury related to that $2.5 billion renovation. Look, I don't know why the heck the Fed is spending $2.5 billion renovating the Federal Reserve Building. However, I don't know if that means that he should go to jail. Like, I also don't know if that means he should be stepped down as the Fed chair. Whether you agree or disagree with him, if this is their route to make him so uncomfortable that he's going to resign, I don't know, dude. It feels very weak in terms of its intimidation. And that is what it is. It's intimidation to try to get Jay Powell to resign. So that's one of the sort of news headlines we have today. Now, in the midst of all this, Trump did come out, and the White House said, specifically, they said that we have no intention, or Trump has no plans to fire the Fed chair. So they continue to reiterate the argument that they've been saying for a long time, which is that, hey, we're not gonna like fire the guy, but they're doing everything they could possibly do to get the Fed, at least I would say, to feel under pressure, or the Fed chair to feel under pressure. And it seems like that's what we got going on right now in the context of Jay Powell. How does this end up? I don't think this becomes a real thing. I mean, unless I think what they're trying to do is to get Jay Powell to resign out of shame for this $2.5 billion renovation and then move on from it. But I don't think he's going to do that. So if he doesn't do that, the question is, are these representatives who are leading the charge on the DOJ investigation going to really push it? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they don't, then this becomes a nothing burger. If they do, then I guess we're going to have to see how this plays out. MicroStrategy announces IPO of 5 million shares of STRC stock. Okay, that is news breaking after hours. Is this another one of their preferred types of shares? What does this even mean? STRC? Is that a ticker yet? Let's see. STRC. No, that's not a ticker yet. What do they mean by announce IPO? I still don't have any news on Grab, guys. I don't know why it's up after hours. I don't see anything yet. If I see something, I'll let you know. But that one is up right now. IPO of 5 million shares of STRC stock. Sounds like strategy class C. What is IPO is like initial public offering. So he's announcing a proceeds from IPO to be used for general corporate purposes, including Bitcoin acquisition. Okay, whenever they say general corporate purposes, they can just replace that with Bitcoin. They don't even have to, they can just say, hey guys, Bitcoin. That's what we're doing it for. So Strike and Strife are the ones they already have. STRC must be new. Okay, well, what are the terms of STRC stock? Does this have the same favorable terms that Strife and Strike had? Because, I mean, those were pretty damn good terms. Chris and I looked at it over on I think on Friday, and incredible deals that they were giving to the convertible note holders on that. That's a class C. Okay, so we've got, all right, I'll try to get more details on what this means for MSTR in terms of how much money they raise. MSTR is basically down a little bit after hours, nothing too crazy. Opendoor after hours is up 2%, still holding 328. Yeah, there's also STRD, that's correct. GameSquare Holding announced it's raised its crypto treasury authorization from 100 million to 250 million and included a new Ethereum-based NFT strategy with an initial 10 million allocation. Oh my goodness, dude. All right, so ticker symbol GAME. That stock was down 4% today. This is another Ethereum treasury. They raised their authorization from 100 million to 250. That's another 150 million. They introduced a new Ethereum-based NFT strategy with an initial. Are they going to be doing a treasury for CryptoPunks? Because if they are, could you imagine a company doing a treasury for CryptoPunks, bro? That'd be crazy. Okay, I don't know why Grab is moving. I don't have any details. I am trying to see. Let me check their website if they put out anything. I don't have anything. I don't see any news. It's at 560. 561. It's up 5% after hours. You saw it just go down to 546, now back to 550. It's moving hard after hours, and I don't know why. Let me check the option flow on this thing today. I mean, the option flow is probably pretty good. Don't say Grab is the new open, please. That's not what we do here. We try to do this in a real way. We try to make sure that, you know, we invest in companies that are like, you know, have a real trajectory here. Grab is the new open, dude. I mean, I just think it wouldn't be healthy for it to be the new open. Would I be upset if it was up 500% in a month? Like, no, because selfishly, my position would be up. But like, is that healthy? No, probably not. And so it's kind of slow and steady on a fundamental company is how we play this out. 555. I have nothing, guys. All I know is in the morning, this thing was at 5. I remember I was brushing my teeth and I got a notification. It was at 563. I was like, what, dude? 563. It's like, why? And then it dumped to 525. Now it looks like it wants to get back to where it was in the morning at 550. There's no FOMO on this. I don't think there's, not after hours. I mean, maybe some people are jumping in after hours because they're seeing the move, but what caused the initial 4% move to get it there in the first place? I'll see what I can find. Robinhood right here down a little bit after hours. Google still holding 190. And then you got UNH right here flat. Joby down a little bit. And then Archer is up a little bit. Palantir as well, 150, 179. That is slightly up after hours. I mean, the one thing I think I could see them announce is a use for the $8 billion they have in cash, because they haven't announced it yet. But I don't see any press releases, and I doubt they would do it the day before or the week before earnings. You would think like on earnings, they'll probably, explain what they're going to do with the treasury. So, or not with the treasury, with all the cash they have. I don't think they're going to be buying Bitcoin, for those that are asking. I do not think that's happening. But I'm not sure. Oh, we have earnings today? Okay, we do have some earnings. We have Crown. What is this? Is that Crown Castle? They have earnings? I didn't see they had earnings today. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Okay, we do have some companies reporting. Tomorrow's a bigger day. Let me see. Is that CCI? Is they have earnings, or it's someone? I think it's CCI, right? Let's see. That would be the one. If they do have earnings, maybe the go-to acquisition news, maybe, but I mean, we would have to get some more details on that. I mean, it is weird though, right? Because in the morning, why did it pump to 563? Right? So now it begs the question, okay, if it's getting back to where it was in the morning, maybe someone knows something, or maybe they knew something in the morning. CCK, and that could be the reason for the pump and the move. CCK, Crown Holdings. I feel like I should know this company, dude. All right, they're down 2.6% after hours. So the earnings we just saw was 3.15 billion versus 3.1. So that's a beat on revenue. Adjusted EPS 215 versus 187. That's a beat on EPS. Wow, they raised their EPS as well. 750 versus 710. What do these guys do? I feel like I should know this, bro. CCK. Yes, American company that makes metal beverages and food cans, metal arsenal or aerosol containers, and metal closures. This is a company we looked at a long time ago. CCK, brand building and consumer goods packaging. Okay, cool. So not a bad earnings. They raised their EPS, beat on revenue, beat on EPS. Even if people don't own this one, it's nice to see some of these companies, $12 billion companies, so not a small one. Down about 2.35%, but overall guidance was raised, which is good. Grab right here, still moving after hours, 554. That is up 3%. NVIDIA partnered with Grab. Well, OpenAI partnered with Grab. By the way, speaking of OpenAI, dudes, this is so bullish, NVIDIA. Take a look at this new stat by OpenAI. I was going to bring this up anyway right here. I mean, this is pretty freaking incredible. We'll talk about Meta as well, because Zucks is being Zucks again. OpenAI reported today that, well, they're growing. They are growing a lot. So the stat here on Opendoor, not Opendoor, freaking OpenAI. This Opendoor thing is in my subconscious. OpenAI's ChatGPT reportedly sees 2.5 billion requests daily, with more than 300 million users based in the United States. I mean, dude, that's incredible. That is freaking crazy. Absolutely crazy. That's going to get to 1 billion users worldwide pretty damn soon. There's Jose when someone said NVIDIA. Jose will be on, by the way. I think Jose and I are doing Tesla and Google together. So after that, we'll get his take on both those companies as well, because they are front and center in the AI revolution. But I think we'll be doing those earnings together. OpenAI is growing, and that's really good for NVIDIA. Also, I showed you guys this tweet yesterday, right? Or I showed it in the morning. Sam Altman tweeted, hey, the team has done a good job collecting GPUs. We will cross well over 1 million GPUs bought this year. But we are very proud. Now we need to figure out how to 100x that. He wants 100 million GPUs. Even if he's being sort of hyperbolic here. The point is, he's begging NVIDIA to make these GPUs so he can sell to them. AGNC had earnings either? Oh, well, I didn't know that. There you go. 41 cents on, no, 38 cents versus 41 cents. That's a little bit lower than expected. 830 versus 860 million. That's a little bit lower than expected. AGNC is a REIT, for those that don't know. Grab still moving right here. AGNC, that's down 1%. Nothing too crazy. That is a miss, though, on top and bottom. So we do have a miss top and bottom on AGNC, but it's not as volatile because it's a REIT. For those asking about Grab, I still have no idea. Let me see if I can find anything else. There's nothing on their website. I feel like it has to be news though, bro. This is not just some random person decided to buy 1 million shares after hours. Like, this is trying to get back to where it was in the morning. And in the morning, I had no idea why it was getting there. So it feels like someone knows something. Maybe it's a fund, maybe it's a big investor. 8 million shares traded after hours. Dude, Grab never gets that much volume after hours. Total volume today was 63 million. Average is 38 million with 8 million shares after hours. That's weird, bro. That's something. That's something. Apple right here, 212 on the day, was at 215, then came down. Lawsuit settlement on Grab. Who do they have a lawsuit with? I know there's a class action one, but those are, I mean, if that's the one they're talking about, I don't think that's that big of a deal. There's companies that have to deal with class actions all the time. So yeah, I don't think they're involved in any other major lawsuits that would be causing it. Wall Street's noticing Grab, potentially, but it still doesn't explain the move today after hours. AEHR, we looked at this one a while ago. That one was up 10% on the day. Again, small cap, 491 million. That one got some momentum last week. Opendoor is still up 6% after hours. Then GameSquare, that's up 1.3%. This is Steve. Dude, I was on the phone with Steve over the weekend. He was like, what's the new idea? I was like, Steve, it's Grab. I'm telling you it's Grab. He's like, I don't like Grab. I'm like, Steve, they have $9 billion in cash. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, fine, I'll look into it. He's not going to look into it. Dude. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. I told him about Hood at 8. He was the first person. In fact, I would have gone heavier at 8. And he talked me off the edge a little bit. And then I just said, screw it. I'm going heavier at like 10. But he didn't, well, you know, when he gets a thesis, he doesn't like breaking from it as much. MicroStrategy, again, we talked about that. They're going to be using the IPO for general corporate purposes, including the Bitcoin acquisition. So they will be buying more. All right, let's get into Opendoor because I read a couple things today. Here's the guy who's been talking about Opendoor. His name is Eric Jackson. Ironically, I've seen this guy on CNBC a bunch of times. So he's been on CNBC many times. Here is a little bit of his take right here on why he's excited for Opendoor, and then we'll keep going from there.
The insiders that supposedly know best. You know, Brian Armstrong never bought a share the whole way down to where the stock is traded in the last few months or the last year. And we say, well, that's it. The ceiling is this. You know, if it has a good run, it might go 20% plus above where it is now or something like that. You know, we can't see the forest for the trees. What I did, in looking at Opendoor, is I said, okay, like let's turn the noise off and let's think of Carvana as an example, as a parallel, because I think there are a lot of similarities. Both were money losing companies. Both were trying to revolutionize and kind of e-commerceify some space, some niche that really hadn't been to that point, and grow a market share in what's a huge market, but it's very fragmented to this point. And with Carvana, you know, they were pre-pandemic, they were a darling, they were a growth darling. They got up to something like a 6x forward EV to revenue multiple before COVID, when they were going through all the drama of, you know, the hiked interest rates and people saying like they have too much debt, they're going to go out of business. They dropped to a forward EV to revenue multiple of 0.5x. And now they're back to like a 4 or 5x one. And if you look at Opendoor still, they're at the bottom. They're at that 400 down at 3 net level, and they're even less than 0.5, forward EV to revenue. So I think the lowest ever got was like 0.01 or some crazy number. They have high revenue, but the market doesn't think they'll ever be profitable. This quarter, which they're going to report in a couple of weeks, they've already sort of hinted that it's going to be their first EBITDA positive quarter in something like 3 years. And so the thing is, like, can they get to steady state profitability? I think they can. And if they can, that's when investors are going to do the same thing they did with Carvana. And they're going to say, well, I guess we were too bearish. I guess we got to recalibrate here. What's a good forward multiple to apply to this company? And I think, 5x is reasonable. If you go out to 29, it's there's supposed to be $12 billion of revenue that year. That's the Bloomberg, consensus number. If you pull it up on the terminal, that's how you get to smack $82 a share.
So this guy is taking the revenue from 5 years out, 2029, and attaching a 5x multiple towards it. We'll go back to him in a bit, but so 12 billion times 5, he gets 5.7 or something like that. He gets to 82. I don't necessarily know if that's the best argument. And so he discounts that by half for today's price. And that's why he said it should be $40. I don't know, dude. I mean, I can't deny that, yes, they're about to be EBITDA profitable. Yes, they have a ton of cash. Yes, there is a big following of people that want exposure to this. Yes, there are rate cuts coming. I just don't know if you give them that type of a multiple when they have, very, very bad other metrics like margins that I guess will change over time with the adjusted EBITDA going better. And rate cuts theoretically should be a tailwind for them, along with their new kind of agent partnership model in terms of real estate. But I don't know. I don't know if that means you give it that much of a multiple. And what I'm trying to say is I don't think it's crazy to say there's an argument for why Opendoor can do very well. I don't know if you give it the multiple to the point where it's at $82 freaking dollars. It's a bit aggressive in my opinion, but who knows? All right, Grab right here, still moving after hours. I have no news, folks. I have no news. I know I'm the guy that's supposed to have the news. I do not have news. I don't know. All right, it just beat the pre-market highs, 564. So that's a real move it's making after hours. Someone knows something, bro. It doesn't move. Grab doesn't move like this. This is definitely not retail piling. This is not Opendoor. Most people on the planet still have no idea what the hell Grab is. So this is not retail at all. This is someone front loading before something happens, which it's only 422. I mean, we might get some PRs later in the next 40, 50 minutes. Who knows? But I feel like it's something. And again, so Malaysia's bank this morning, Maybank, that analyzes Grab, they put out a really good Q2 preview, but that was in the morning. They said, hey, we think Grab's gonna have a great Q2. We think financial services is good. We think their margins are gonna be good. Like, so they already said all that stuff in the pre-market, and then Grab dumped throughout the rest of the day. So coming back after hours, to me, it doesn't feel like it's because of that report. It feels like there's something else. Feels like there's something else. Dude, 566. If it breaks 570. 572, by the way, is the 52-week high. Yeah, November 2024. It was at 572. So we crack that. That could be important. But we got to see. It's not Buffett's secret stock. I doubt it. He doesn't buy tech companies. He wouldn't buy these guys. He doesn't buy tech companies. Okay, for those who are saying technicals, that's fine, but like, why after hours? Don't technicals take place during the after hours? You have low liquidity and you have like news that moves. Wow, it just beat 568. It just 567. It touched in the morning before it chilled at 565. So 568 definitively puts it back above the pre-market highs. 569 would immediately put it above there. I don't think it's technicals, bro. I feel like after hours, I don't know. Astronomers at 569. There she goes. 569. Astronomer CEO is joining Grab. Oh my goodness. Okay, Grab already announced that convertible offering. We saw that 1.5 billion in 2030. They did that a couple months ago. Grab is buying Opendoor. Yo, who made some good money on Opendoor today? I saw some strange. Wow, 573. Wow. What is going on? Folks, that's 52. I know it's after hours, but that's 52-week highs. Like the fact that it's even touching that 7% after hours. I don't understand it. I have no news for you guys. I don't know. 574. Wow. Dude, someone knows something. There's no way someone knows something is about to happen. Or it's maybe just an earnings pump. But earnings is in a week. It's not even this week. Earnings is next Wednesday. Grab purchasing their own shares. They can't do that because they already bought 250 million of the 500 million shares they allocated for buybacks. So they literally legally cannot buy back their shares unless they reauthorize a buyback program, which they haven't done. And they would have to tell shareholders if they did that. So that's not possible. 576. I mean, 580. My goodness. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think we'll try to figure out some of the details. There has to be someone knows something. There's no way this is happening without someone knowing something. It's not FOMO, dude. This is not FOMO, guys. We know about Grab. I've been telling you guys over the past couple of weeks, people on Twitter have started to really put out good due diligence, but this is nowhere near the level of 590. What is going on? This is nowhere near the level of momentum that an Opendoor has, just in terms of like awareness. Back to 580. Just hit 590. Now 584. D-Wave's down. Oh no, not D-Wave's. Dave's down 10%. Is that down after hours? No, that was down during the day. It's okay. Dude, Dave is one of the best performing stocks in the past couple of years. This one's been good all year, so this one's giving back. I don't know why it fell 10%, but probably high beta took a little bit of a haircut. So that's why. Grab right here, 584 after hours, still moving. NVIDIA's flat after hours. Robinhood's up a little bit. Google's flat. I'm not sure why. Triple V already bought Grab. He bought 1 million shares at 470. So he's up $1 million. I don't think he's buying more right here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's Toyota. Toyota's had their Grab position for a long time. I doubt they're buying more right here. They already have $1 billion worth of Grab. I don't know. It's something. It is something. She hit 590 though, bro. That's aggressive. 590. Should I roll my $6 covered calls for the 15th? Yeah, I wouldn't have done $6 covered calls. I think that's a little aggressive given it's right after earnings. But yeah, I probably would. Now, granted, I don't know what's going to happen on earnings. Grab in general is a name that you probably shouldn't sell options on because there's not outside of puts. Because first of all, I think it's deeply undervalued. So selling calls right here really does limit your upside unless you think it's just going to be range bound, which is possible. But B, the premiums aren't even like, so my uncle called me today. He's in Singapore and he was asking me about SoFi. And he has some covered calls on SoFi. He's trying to get out of it. And so I was like, well, what if you buy some more SoFi, you sell some long dated at the money calls, you take that premium and then you roll the SoFi calls that are underwater. I think he has like a $19 strike. And he was like, okay, let's look at the premiums. And then I looked at the premiums. I was like, goodness, even if he bought like 1,000 or 2,000 shares, he would barely be able to generate any premium from even selling a $30 call in June 2026. Like the premiums on SoFi are like just not good yet. And so for Grab, it's worse, right? Because more people know about SoFi than Grab. So I would sell puts on Grab, I would not sell calls. But if you have $6, yeah, I'd probably roll that a couple months out and try to collect some premium. Yeah, SoFi, it's weird. It's weird that their premiums are that low. Uber didn't buy more. Uber still has a 14% stake, so it's not Uber. They have 535 million. So it's not Uber buying more. I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm trying to get as much information. Everyone on Twitter too is like, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I don't see anything after hours. I got nothing. But someone knows something. It's also holding, bro. It's not like it touched 590, now it's dumping all the way back to 540. Maybe that happens, but it's holding that 570, 580 level. Everyone's rotating Rocket Lab to Grab. Dude, most people don't know about Grab. That's what it's still a secret. Like most people don't know about this thing. You guys know, some people on Twitter know, but like you're not going to be scrolling through your Twitter and randomly see a bunch of people talking about Grab. Like it's just not. You have to literally click on Grab's ticker on Twitter to like actually read the content in the post. Yeah, Maybank this morning, they said, hey, we think it's going to go higher. But that was in the morning. What does Grab even do? My sister asked me this question yesterday because I told her, hey, I was like, hey, just keep an eye on Grab. If it goes to 10, you're going to do very well. And she was like, okay, what do they do? And I was like, goodness gracious. I was like, they're like Uber for Singapore. And she was like, oh, okay. Obviously, there's more to the thesis. And I tried explaining, well, they do financial services and they do this and that, and they're consolidating the region, yada, yada. That's what I'm saying. Most people don't know. Most people don't know. All right, I'll try to get some more details. I will try to figure out what else is going on here as I search, but I don't see anything crazy yet. Ethereum, let's get a little bit more of an update on Ethereum. So I told you about that Ether machine company that's going public today. Well, there's another one called Dynamics Corp. Or is this? No, this is the same one. This is the same one. There's a little bit more coverage on this, but this is the name of the SPAC company that's merging with the Ether machine. So a little bit of coverage here. More updates on Ethereum getting some momentum.
New company called the Ether Machine. Got that? That deal is expected to close in Q4, and Ether Machine will trade on the NASDAQ under the ticker EHTM. It's a SPAC, in other words. CNBC Crypto reporter Tanea McKeel says it's vying to be the MicroStrategy of Ether, but with a focus on generating yield. Let's bring her in to discuss. And Tanea, this reminds me so much of stablecoins, where they went through this whole era where it was all about yield until it blew up and so forth. Obviously, they're hoping that's not a good analogy and that this model is much more sustainable.
Yeah, Kelly, this is really just the latest in a cluster of companies.
Chad says Chamath. If Chamath is buying Grab, we are going to have some. Please make sure it's not Chamath buying Grab. Please. We don't. It's not like we don't want him. We don't really need him, especially for a guy who's bragging about a 2% spread based on fancy financial instruments that only high net worth, like super high net worth people have exposure to. I mean, we don't need that type of person in our Grab again. He can go join the Ethereum SPACs if he wants, but hopefully not Grab.
That is trying to be the kind of public vehicle for institutional exposure to ETH. SharpLink Gaming is among one of them. Bitmine Immersion Technologies, which is that company that was recently, that is chaired by Fundstrat's Tom Lee and was recently backed by Peter Thiel as well. On the focus on generating yield, ETH for a long time has been more interesting to institutional investors than Bitcoin because of its ability to be able to earn that yield for investors. You saw for the last year, it really kind of lagged and died off, and people sat on the sidelines in large part because of the regulatory clarity or lack thereof around this asset and whether investors would be able to, fully take advantage of the staking mechanism that is available on ETH, which you don't have with Bitcoin. So you really are seeing all of these companies kind of pile into this ETH treasury strategy at a time when you're seeing leadership shift in the crypto market from Bitcoin to Ether. In the last 3 months, Ether up more than 140%, just coming off its record week of inflows into Ether ETF.
That's one thing that is scaring me as well, is a lot of these companies, are they getting into Ethereum just because of the fact that they're seeing, hey, our companies are basically not doing anything. We missed the Bitcoin treasury train. So maybe we just lean into the Ethereum treasury train and we have all these people that love Ethereum. They'll buy our stock, which I don't think is healthy. Granted, it's great for Ethereum. And who cares, quite frankly, if it's healthy, if it helps Ethereum. And if Ethereum has a real use case and Ethereum's going higher, those companies could recapitalize their balance sheets without using treasuries, but they could use Ethereum instead. And it could be a win-win situation. But it could also mean a lot more companies are, getting into this. Now, as I say this, if Grab comes out and says we're buying $1 billion of ETH, I'm not sure what I'm going to be saying when that happens, but I mean, goodness, dude. This is quite incredible. Still don't have any news. I don't know. I mean, and look, on Chamath, it's not that I don't think he's an actual good person. I'm sure there's some parts of him that are a good person, but he's a narcissist. Like his tweet this morning is incredibly narcissistic, bro. Like he can't accept when he's wrong. He can't explain like, hey, if you just bought the S&P 500, you'd be up more than my silly spread strategy trying to claim to people that I was right, that there would be this market crash when he was wrong. He was right for a day in April. And then it's like, you can't admit you're wrong. It is what it is. I've been wrong plenty of times. It's okay to admit it. When you have that type of ego, you can't. So if he were to get into Grab, he would see this as an opportunity to exploit, is my point. Because that's what he's done with all these SPACs. And I don't think that's the best idea here. Why buy BMNR if you can get ETH? That is how much is BMNR's market cap? 3 billion? That is a $3.17 billion question. Why would you buy Tom Lee's BMNR if you can buy Ethereum? It's a great question. There's a lot of intellectualizing about why, but quite frankly, the real answer, in my opinion, is that these treasuries get a premium on NAV based on their ability to buy more Ethereum, and the market, the options market, the puts and calls around that market bids it up. Now, Tom Lee and Saylor will say, oh, well, we're going to stake ETH, or, oh, we're going to lend our Bitcoin, or we're going to become a holding company. Like, all that stuff is fine and dandy, but realistically, why would you pay $2 for $1? It's because you think other people are going to pay $2 for $1, and you have a market that then forms, and that market, especially in MSTR, there's the whole concept of Misty, becomes incredibly lucrative and attractive, really, for traders more than anything else. Now, I'm sure there's some fundamental reasons why you would buy a treasury over the underlying asset because of the beta and the things they can do, et cetera. But realistically, it's because you think it'll go higher due to other people willing to pay that much of an MNAV. That's a new one, right? Fine and dandy. It's a take that from my subconscious. I haven't said that in a minute. There you go. We're diversifying, you know? We're trying to get to the level where I can realize what a barracuda sounds like. Dude, I really thought it was barracuda. I really thought it was barracuda. And then I realized barracuda was the way to say it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I have a little bit of BM&R, but I'm not convinced that this is like the end all be all. I do think Tom Lee has a chance to make this a MicroStrategy of Ethereum, but he's going to have to really convince Wall Street that there is a unique benefit to this treasury approach. And Saylor's already done it, but Saylor's done it on an asset that is much more of a religion than Ethereum, which is Bitcoin. And, you know, Saylor owns 600,000 Bitcoin. So is it possible he can do it for Ethereum? 1,000%. Will he? I think he's going to have to show off a lot more ways, not just him, but SBET as well, that there is a differentiated yield. SBET up 3% after hours. Opendoor, how much is that up? That's up 8% after hours based on going this route. I do not own SBET. Chris got a little bit of SBET last week, but I do not own SBET. I doubt Grab has good earnings. There's a bunch of insider sales on the open market last week. So they've been doing insider. I mean, see, the thing is they've been doing insider sales for the past couple of years. The insider sales have declined this year compared to other years. But number two, I just can't use insider sales as like the reason for why it's going to suck, because Palantir had tons of insider sales. Robinhood had insider, like all these companies had insider sales even when their stocks were at, 80, 70% lows, because those CEOs are still up 10x, 20x on the stocks. Grab right here, red candle from 590 to 568. It's 570. So I don't know if insider sales is the best argument. And quite frankly, the way I think of insider sales is, okay, if the insider is selling and the company is not performing, then there's an issue. The insider is whatever profits they've taken. The company has only been producing results when you go deeper into Grab's numbers. It's just been result after result after result, gap profitable. I mean, they're a gap profitable in a market, in a region where no company that tries to do what they're doing is gap profitable, which is why so many of those companies had to exit the region, or they're beginning to exit the region. So they've been able to effectively get everything they need in the right direction, which is why I think insider selling is irrelevant. Like if you didn't buy Palantir at 34 because Peter Thiel sold some shares, it's like, I think Q2 is going to be good. I think they're front running Q2 right now, but I feel like either these are option traders and algos, or there's like something really happening right now. And I don't think we know. Imagine AK Media opens up a Farcoin treasury. That one would be interesting. And I wonder how much we could get it to pump. Speaking of treasuries, Bitcoin treasuries right here. Take a look at this. So DJT bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin today. DJT, Trump's media company, has 18,000 Bitcoin. Metaplanet has 16,000. So Trump Media has more than Metaplanet, CleanSpark, Tesla, Galaxy Digital, and Hut 8 Mining. MicroStrategy is up top. Marathon's number 2. XXI, SEP or CEP. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. They went public. Jack Mallers, that's at 37,000. And then Riot's at 19,000. So, I mean, this is only going to increase more and more as we get into the coming decade of these companies recapitalizing their balance sheet with Bitcoin. But you got a lot of them that are going to be holding it and just adding to it, especially Saylor, who bought 6,000 more Bitcoin today. And it looks like that's not stopping anytime soon. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Opendoor from Eric Jackson, and then we'll keep going from there.
If you kind of back out the debt and the cash and you look at the share count and all that kind of stuff, where it should be trading right now, even now, next year, they're supposed to do something like 5.75 billion in revenue. So if you suddenly had a market that was saying, oh, I guess they're not going out of business, maybe they are back to steady state profitability today, this would be a $40 stock.
So you think from under $1 to 40 just in 2025 would be pretty interesting. Now, it's turning into a meme stock. There's a lot of people who are really excited. The folks are piling into it, and you can see just the online chatter. I got people tweeting at me, and seem pretty, like, hey, I have seen this before with the GameStops, etc. What do you think about the energy of retail investors and kind of this turning into a meme stock? Obviously, that's got to help the case.
I think retail investors are a lot smarter than what they're given credit for. Earlier this year, I got into a company called BTQ Technologies. It's like post-quantum cryptography. They're trying to, protect crypto wallets from a future quantum attack. And this is when all kind of the de-SPACed quantum stocks from 2021, like Rigetti and D-Wave, were like taking off right after President Trump got reelected, and thinking that Trump is going to support the quantum sector because we have to sort of keep ahead. And you know what? The retail investors were the first ones on the case with all of those stocks. They were right in there, and way before anybody on business television was talking about it. So I think they're a lot smarter and more sophisticated than they're given credit for. They're not going to make today it's like, Opendoor's up like 80-90% in one day. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen with the Mag 7. You got to look somewhere else. And I think a lot of these retail investors know that. What do I think about it becoming a meme?
Granted, the Mag 7 might not be down 70% in a day as well, right? So it's like, it is, he's right. You're not going to get 70% in a day in the Mag 7. The question is it healthy to get 70% in a day? I personally would say no. Granted, I could be wrong. It's healthy if there's something fundamental warranting it. It might not be healthy if there's nothing fundamental. And that's when, people call it a meme. But granted, if they have good earnings and they turn it around, then, maybe the 70% is just beginning.
So, I lived through that whole craze like you did, Anthony. And, I just never really understood, like, GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry, like, why are they picking these weird, dead companies, frankly? What I like about Opendoor, this is a real business. The cost of trying to replicate what they're doing and their platform, it would cost significant money. And then now to have like a national platform, virtually no competitors. It reminds me of Coinbase in December 2022, when the Biden administration basically had told Kraken, get out of the US, Binance, get out of the US, like FTX went under. Basically Coinbase was last man standing. And basically you had to say, is crypto ever going to come back? And like 99% of people said, no, it's terrible. Oh, I'm a prisoner of the moment. This is, who wants crypto? But you didn't have to look far ahead to see that if it ever did come back even slightly, Coinbase was so well positioned.
Now, how do you put the exposures on? You're buying spot and also I think using leaps at times. I saw you talking about online. Like talk a little bit in terms of your strategy.
Well, I've made lots of mistakes in my hedge fund in the last few years, and one of, I guess there's two big mistakes when I look back on Carvana. One is that I only bought equity. I bought in at 15, and I would say I probably sold the majority of my position in around like, I don't know, 120, 130, something like that. And I'm thinking like, I'm smart. I'm taking a profit. I'm trying to follow all the common, conventional wisdom, lock in your profit, and, think if things are too good to be true, they probably are. And then sat back, or I said to myself, hey, I'm just going to sort of trade in and out from here on in, because I still believed in Carvana, and I'll be so smart. I'll get in at the bottom and ride another wave and stuff like that. So what I figured was, I'm not that smart to trade in and out. I would have done much better had I just sort of bought that core equity position and not touched it, just sat on my hands, despite like turning on CNBC every day and seeing some headline of the macro headline of the moment. Oh my God, tariffs. Oh my God, interest rates. Or oh my God, Jerome Powell. Turn that noise off. When you find these kinds of companies, you just let that position sit there and do not touch it. And then don't think you're going to be so smart to overtrade it. But the second mistake I made was I didn't buy the leap options that I should have, like right when it was like down at the trough, down at the bottom. So you can lose lots of money in options if you buy too short dated ones, and it's just like setting money on fire. So give yourself some wiggle room, give yourself some time. I certainly didn't expect Opendoor to have this sort of mass resurrection in a week. So try to go out as far as you can.
What do you guys think? You think it's convincing? You think it makes sense? I don't know, bro. He's saying 82. Is he actually going to hold on till 82? That's the question. Is he actually going to hold on till 82? Did he dump the today? I mean, like these are questions that I think a lot of people are going to be curious about. I don't know. It's not to say that there's not some level of valid thesis there, but when you put out a price target like 42 and 82, you're promising people, or you're not promising, but you're like broadcasting to people a 20x or at least a 10x, and that'll get people excited. So the question is, like, is there anything fundamental to get there, or is it purely just FOMO? Is there anything real there, or is it purely just FOMO? Netflix is now using AI video tools from startup Runway AI in content production. Okay, Netflix actually had not a bad day. Netflix right here up about 2%. I'm still holding my 10 shares. I bought at 12.74. So still back holding those shares, but 12.33, nice little momentum today. This entire street says 1450 to 1500 as their price target. So street's bullish on the earnings. Just the stock, I think, was running a bit hot going into it and not doing anything else. 580 after hours. We went from 590 to 561, now back to 580. I don't know what the reason is. I don't have a reason. don't have a reason. Trying to find a reason, but I don't have one. Okay, someone's saying on Twitter, Grab rolled out a massive back-end overhaul. They ditched their current architecture that was scaling on SQS and Redis, and now they're using something called Temporal. I don't think the street's pumping it 8% after hours because they changed their backend. Which yes, will make the product better and it'll like make it more efficient as they have a more resilient architecture. But that's not the reason. Like, I don't think the street cares about that. Like, chat, the actual engineer in the chat is like, no one gives a shit about that. Dude, this is how desperate people are for an answer. People are tweeting this shit. I'm like, that is not the reason. Okay, you guys are putting out headlines from last week. They announced that autonomous shuttle bus in Singapore last week. These headlines that everyone's trying to find, that they're old. I mean, I feel like I would know if there was a real headline, but there isn't anything there. Unless the street's now valuing all their old headlines and is like, hey, all this stuff is super bullish. But that's not the reason, bro. That's not the freaking reason. Yo, these back end jokes, you guys are doing some good ones. It's a meaningless pump. Okay, so I'm not going to say it's not a meaningless pump. It definitely could, come all the way back down tomorrow pre-markets. But Grab has not moved 8% after hours in like 2 years. So to say it's meaningless, I would say there's some meaning attached to it. Does it hold? I have no idea. But volume now, 65 million shares. Average volume is 38 million. And after hours, it's doing almost 10 million in volume. That's weird. It's an algo pump after hours. But why Grab? Why would they target Grab for the algo pump? Like, the price action did nothing today. Like, why? I mean, it's possible. It could all be gone tomorrow. It could just be some pump that fades. But dude, it's breaking 52-week highs. Like, it's a key level that it's hitting after hours, which is very weird. Breaking out on weeklies. Berkshire disclosed it. Dude, if Berkshire said we're a long Grab, my goodness, dude. I think I'll lose my shit. I mean, we already know Howard Marks is in and Ray Dalio are in. I wonder if they double down. That's what I'm really curious about. And if they did, it would be exciting. But if they don't, then, we still have to see what momentum is there. Again, my thesis on Grab has always been, I literally wrote 20 pages on this. Oh, by the way, shout out to the person who messaged me today. There is now a website called grabthesis.com. You can go to grabthesis.com and it links right to my my Google Doc. So if anyone wants to now check it out, let me give a shout out to the person who emailed me who made that today. Grabthesis.com. Now when anyone asks about it, you should immediately be able to check it out. Shout out to Mike. Grabthesis.com. So again, my thesis at its core was because of freaking the adjusted EBITDA moving up, the heavy cash pile, and regional consolidation. So if anything relates to those three core components of the thesis, then I could see it. Like, I could see why the street's taking it higher. And obviously I think it's intrinsically undervalued. I think fair value is 750. But we got to see what element of the overall thesis is getting people excited. Yes, we are doing hood predictions tonight. So tonight, Tanner, I was going to message you about that. So tonight, Tanner, Roy, and I will do our hood predictions 9:30 on our Tech Bros podcast as usual. And we're going to be trying to go deeper into why we think hood can beat estimates. 913 is a street estimate. But, we're going to see how bullish or how bearish we think these revenue estimates can get. Why is gold up? Okay, so my not conspiracy, but my thesis on why gold was up today is, quite frankly, I think small caps are running so much, I think people needed a hedge. So when you have Opendoor going up 90% in a day, I think people see that and they get scared. And instead of leaning into the risk on, maybe they're saying, hey, we'll let that market do whatever it wants to do, but we also want to be a little risk off. And we're going to, because it's not just, it was silver too. SLV was up today. So commodity platinum was so you're seeing a lot of commodities catch a bid. I'm sure there's another reason I'm not thinking of that's more maybe geopolitical in nature. Maybe it has to do with oil. Oil was down today, but I think to some extent people are like, okay, we are getting too frothy. I'm going to go a little risk off seasonally and buy some gold. And maybe that could be your argument. But I'm very interested in hearing some of these other takes that people have. I went to the site and it redirected to Grinder. Okay, you guys are funny. You guys are funny. Josh says 931 million. I'm in that 920 million range. I know Tanner is 940. Hopefully can get there. Roy says, I think it's just a retail move, but if so, it can go up in a hurry. I don't think this move after hours is retail by grab. Because first of all, if you're a retail investor, why the hell wouldn't you buy grab from 520 to 535 all day? Why would you wait till after hours for it to pump? Second of all, it pumped to 570. So I'll give you maybe the 570 to 590 is retail. But we all saw it after hours. It went from 535 to 570. That is not retail. Or maybe that's a big retail whale. But that's not a bunch of people saying, hey, let's get into grab. Especially because during the day, there was nothing to be excited about. It was basically, it was up 1% during the day. Or not 1%, 1 cent during the day. I don't think it's retail. Why would institutions wait till after hours? Well, the only reason would be if they know something's happening, right? Like if they know there's some big thing coming up that we don't know, or that tomorrow it's going to be announced, or that there's a press release at 5:30 that's going to, I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating. It could very well be retail, but that velocity of a move we have not seen on grab in almost 2 years, especially not after hours. ASML, by the way, wow, they took this down another 2% today. They took it down another 2%. Whoa, spot Ethereum ETF, ETH volume surpasses 3.1 billion. My goodness, dude. That's grayscales, right? Yeah, that's grayscales. 3.1 billion. We'll get the inflows later for the BlackRock Ethereum ETF, but dude, Ethereum is here. Ethereum is here. People are coming. I don't think it has to do with the low dollar. So the dollar collapsing will be good for grabs earnings in general. It'll be good for all international stocks, Mercado Libre, Nubank, etc. But that's not why it's up 9% after hours. Not in my opinion. I think there has to be something else. 587, trying to get back to 590 here. Tony, thank you for the $20. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you and thank you for being here. Porter said, I rolled to 750, made a small amount of premium, but not many options there. Yeah. And I think 750 is intrinsic value. Obviously, could it go above that? Sure. But I think that's not horrible to at least kind of get to those levels, which is not crazy. Nick, thanks for the 10 super chat. And Mick, can you explain how you see the width on call debit spreads make an impact to your investing? The call debit spreads when you're buying a call and selling a call, especially if you're doing them on leaps, are highly illiquid, especially based on this. Like Grab is a very illiquid stock, even though it's getting a lot of call volume into those leaps. But any stock, if you go a couple years out, usually the volumes are not high. So I would try to find something. You're never going to find something that has a narrow bid-ask spread the way like a stock does if you were just like buying NVIDIA. So you want to look at something that's within 10%. You're going to have to pay a little bit more. Like you just have to get used to paying a little bit more. But because you're taking a 2-year out option that's likely OTM, I mean, your returns should be well worth paying a little bit more to get entry into the position because you have so much time. So I wouldn't look at the spread as like a determining factor to not buy it. Now, if you're buying short dated calls, you should really care about the spread, right? Because time is money, literally. And you need to make sure you get your money's worth on the bid and the ask. But long term, if it's a 2 years out or at least 18 months out, I would try to keep the bid and the ask between 10% and not get too worried if there is a wider spread. What else do we see? I went to Indonesia like a week ago and loved Grab as a mobile business. Took me home when I was drunk after the club. Well, see, there you go. That's that's your bull case. 590, folks. It's back to 590. Went all the way down to what did it went down to 560. Back to 590. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know. Hood's up a little bit after hours. I know it's a little disappointing that it was down today. Trust me, I know. I have lots of shares. You multiply those shares times $5. That's it. nasty day on the on the portfolio. But it's also like if you have the good days, you have to be willing to see the bad days. And I think that's going to be fine. I think they have a really good rest of the year coming up. The S&P 500 committee wants to be, they want to be who they want to be, which is why we didn't get in. But I think we'll get there. And this is healthy. This is healthy, getting a little bit of a 5% retracement. The link to the grab thesis is grabthesis.com. Grabthesis.com. And that'll take you to the Google Doc, which should get you there. I did not say UNH is a pile of shit. Okay, I have UNH. I have spreads on UNH. I thought UNH would be green if all of the high beta was red. I was like, okay, UNH, this is the most value of value, should be green, and that was red today. That's why I called it a small pile of shit. But then I took back my statements. It's not a pile of shit. It's just, I was just being facetious, even though I can't say that word. What happened to Rocket Lab? People took profits. Rocket Lab, again, over the past month, it's just important to remember, past month, it's up 45%, dude. It could fall another 10%. Like, people just can't complain. Like, it's up a ton. It's up a ton. It's nice to see that hood still has catalyst for the next few months. They've got a lot of catalysts, dude. A lot. I mean, dude, banking is coming back in the fall. The Las Vegas event is going to be good for active traders. I mean, S&P inclusion, if the S&P committee ever recognizes Robin. I mean, there's just so many things to point to. And I think there's stuff they haven't even told us, bro, because this is what Robin did. Like, they're on a different level of execution at this point. And so I'm not too worried about them for the rest of the year. If we closed out the year at 104, like, I don't think that's going to happen. But if we did, no one could complain. Granted, I think if we get into a Santa Claus rally, this does go higher, but it's been an incredible year for them, especially since those April lows. It's scary UNH didn't close green on a day like this. That's why I was weirded out as well. UNH is, I mean, on a day where beta sells off, people are supposed to run to safety. But granted, they ran to Opendoor, even though Opendoor sold off again towards the end of the day, still up 42%, up 4% after hours. Like, it was weird. It was weird across the board in terms of how people decided to leave some stocks and go to other stocks. Are you buying hood at 104? Well, I bought it at 103. So, yeah, pretty much. Any Pouncer news? I think, I didn't see this confirmed today, but I think Pouncer had a partnership with Deloitte, if I'm not wrong. Oh, hold on. There is something I got to show you guys. Which if they did, again, they're working with consulting firms, which is good. They work with Bain, Accenture, Federal Services, so they're getting a lot more momentum in the partnerships. But Anduril and Palantir got a $100 million contract. Got a $100 million contract. So it's Anduril and Palantir that are going to be sharing this contract. Let me pull this up right here. Lulu also sold off today. Yeah, it was a weird day across the board with a lot of names. But $99.6 million for a U.S. Army Next Generation Command and Control prototype. And Palantir will be working with Anduril to get this deal done. So, again, the government growth, I think, is going to be there. Commercial growth is going to be there. I think Palantir will have a fine Q2. Obviously, the valuation is up there, but Palantir can't control the valuation. All they can control is their execution. It's up to the street to then figure out what to value it at. So the more momentum we see from the government side, obviously the better for Palantir. All right, Grab's kind of sticking at 590. If we can crack above 6, guys, that's when we've really got some motion. Because if 6 becomes the floor, this starts to become a lot more fun in terms of more people getting excited about the story. Number 2, Grab getting more respect from Wall Street as it's above $5. Number 3, they're going to be profitable for the 4th quarter in a row. Number 5, they're going to have still, I mean, what's their market cap right here? Market cap is 21.8, but they still have $8 billion in cash. I mean, that's still, even if it gets to 30 billion, you have $8 billion cash. That's a very healthy cash to enterprise value ratio. And then I just think Southeast Asia is going to be a massive growth vector over the next coming years, and their earnings will inflate. I mean, Grab should be growing top line revenue minimum 20%. They guided 22% this year. I think they're going to beat that at 3.4 billion. And even if they get to 3.4, that's amazing. And then adjusted EBITDA is going to be growing at 60% year over year, at least 50%. And then net income should be growing upwards of a couple 100%. 10.7 million shares after hours. And it's not a meme stock. There's 4 billion shares outstanding. This is not super shorted. I mean, it does have about a 7% float. So you do have about 160 million shares that are short, but it's not like Opendoor 20, 30%. It's not like, oh, the hedge funds saw Opendoor for dead and they started shorting it thinking it was free money, and then retail created a comeback like a GameStop story. Like, that's not happening. And it's not known to the majority of Wall Street. So it's not a meme stock by any sense of the imagination. It's a good quality company that the street may think, okay, well, everything's running. What has not run? What has some international exposure? That could be grabbed. Their short float right here, 6.97%. So there are shorts in this thing. And if they cover, that's not going to create a gamma squeeze or anything, but that definitely would help with the buying pressure. The question is, can we give a Q2 that makes the shorts be like, you know what? I don't want to mess with this. And we have yet to do that yet, right? So like, they've got to really deliver a good Q2 to get there. Thoughts on American Airlines calls for earnings? I wouldn't do so. I think American Airlines will have good earnings because it's because all the airlines have done well. However, it's American Airlines. You just never know, right? This is not like a massive growth stock or anything. I wouldn't buy calls. I would sell calls here. You know, $12, $13. I don't think it's crazy for American Airlines. American Airlines actually does have good premiums. I don't tend to buy short-term calls, and I definitely don't tend to buy them on earnings, especially on names that you just, you know, it's a coin cost. Did I just say it again? Did I just say it again? There's no way in hell. I swear on my life that was not. Can we rewind? Did I actually just say it again? I swear on my life that was not manufactured. If it was, I would have moved on and just waited for your comments to laugh at that. Like, something is wrong. Something. We don't know why Grab's at 590 after hours, and we don't know why I speak the way I speak. Something's going on. Something's going on. I don't even know what I was thinking. It's a coin toss on how the earnings will go. But it could also be a coin toss. It could also be a coin toss. You need Neuralink. Open went negative after hours. Did it? Oh boy. Did it actually goes red? Oh, there she goes down. Oh, let me check if there's any news. Let's see. It was up almost 11% after hours. That's a pretty quick reversal. Now, maybe that reverses to the upside. But let's see. Maybe it's you talking to your computer for 8 hours a day. Okay, that's probably the reason. But I think there's something going on in my brain, dude. Like, coin toss, dude. Like, how is that? Like, obviously, a normal person would say coin toss. I already made that mistake once, and then in my subconscious, it pops back out. Like, it is pretty crazy. All right, she's dumping 3.4. She's not really reversing. I don't see any dilution or anything like that. They don't need to dilute, though. That's the thing. Dilution, I mean, like, it would be beneficial for them as a company, but they don't need to. They have cash. So it would be a little weird if they go down that route. United Health up a little bit, Robin it up a little bit, and then Grab 589 after hours. Yeah, this reason that you're citing, Ryan, I don't think this is the reason why it's moving. I know people have been tweeting this, but I personally don't think this would be the reason for why this is happening. Grab does not trade overnight. Dude, I tried to buy shares yesterday at 535 last night. Like on Legend, sometimes they let you buy shares even if you can't buy it on the mobile app. And I tried. I even bid at like 542. I was just like, it just wouldn't go through. So I got to buy at 528 today. But yeah, I mean, if they allow it to trade overnight, that would be awesome. But you know, again, it doesn't even trade overnight. Like this is not a meme stock. No one knows about this thing. So it's just a good quality company where leadership that you can really trust. Again, Anthony Tan, dude, the guy gave up his relationship with his father to freaking build Grab. I mean, literally, the dude, his father didn't want him to become an entrepreneur or to become a startup founder, and he told his dad he's got to go chase his dreams. And you know, now it's here. Here's a little bit of Mr. Anthony Tan talking about the process of his relationship with his father.
We didn't have that much money and drivers all didn't have smartphones. I remember going to the early days of a very big Korean phone company that helped us, and it was part of the ESG team that said, we will help you with a first set of phones. We could take these phones and then we microfinance it to our drivers. There were times when we were nearly ran out of funding. So I am grateful that people took bets with me and on me, but it is a journey of suffering.
Just 1 year after Grab's launch, the company received its first institutional investment of over $2 million from Vertex Ventures. So when you decided to leave the family business, how did that conversation go?
Oh, it was tough. I'll never forget that. I mean, it was this idea of like never being enough. My dad disowned me. It was hard, right? Being taught all your life that you're gonna go back to the family business and help the family. My dad used to tell me, you're useless, you don't deserve to have the family name. I would say in a weird kind of way, I'm grateful because it helped me realize I had no other option but to make it work.
CNBC reached out to Anthony's father via his company for comment. We did not hear back before publication. In 2000,
It's tough, dude. It's freaking tough. It makes me emotional because my parents have always supported me in whatever crazy idea I had. My dad would question a little bit on the logic behind it, but he never once said you shouldn't do it. He always questioned like, hey, are you sure this is the right way? Like healthy questions that a parent would ask. And even if he wasn't fully happy with the decision, he never said to not do it because he always wanted to make sure I was happy. And so to see this guy create a $20 billion company, which I think my long-term thesis is Grab is a $100 billion company as the dominant force in that region. For him to go through all the shit he went through to still survive and for the company to be alive to this day and now profitable and executing. And the numbers are finally inflecting the right way for public market investors because in 2021, again, the SPAC stuff just wasn't the right time to go public. That is what's very exciting to me about Grab. That is what's very exciting. I mean, dude, when your dad disowns you and you go on your own journey to become a hero in your own way, and you leave back family, it's not easy for people to just leave their family, especially from Asian culture. Because family is everything. So for him to go that route, and I think in that interview he further says him and his dad don't talk. Still, that interview was last year around April. So it's this guy's not. He's not here for pennies. He's here to build a freaking monster. And that was one of the core reasons why I got into the stock. Just learning about the founder. Okay, so Gab Growth, who is a great account on X that I will post right here, he wrote up a thread about Grab ads this morning. I don't think this is the reason the stock is moving after hours, but let's read through this a little bit because I thought it was a great thread, and it's about one of their largest high-margin businesses that could be very exciting. So Grab Ads has a $260 million run rate business growing 60% year over year. He believes it could be the greatest contributor to Grab's bottom line within the next 2 years. Currently today, Grab has 191,000 monthly active advertisers, up 50% year over year. Average spend grew 30% year over year, driving ad revenue to make up 1.7% of their deliveries gross merchandise volume, GMV, which is very small. There's a big opportunity for that to expand. Grab's ad product breadth is extremely wide, ranging from in-app sponsored listings, search, feed, video, display, vouchers to offline formats. Uber does ads as well for those that have seen advertisements pop up in their Uber. Grab keeps ads revenue inside of the deliveries P&L for now, but management has called it out as a primary driver for the deliveries margin expansion, aka the reason they're starting to really inflect these adjusted EBITDA margins is because of ads. So how do ads work? Firstly, you need to understand that Grab's merchant base is overwhelmingly made up of micro, small, and medium enterprises. These are hawker stall owners, family bakeries, neighborhood mini marts. They are not savvy at all. Hence, Grab has built an incredibly simplified system, allowing merchants to create ads within 3 minutes with built-in automation to avoid complexity. A lot of this is due also to AI. Why can it become Grab's fourth pillar? Ads is potentially a huge business with significant runway. Most importantly, it's a great fit for Grab. GMV leverage. Grab's on-demand GMV in 2024 was $18.3 billion. A 1% point increase in take rate leads to a doubling of Grab's current ad revenue from 215 to 400 to like 420 million. Unique data moat. Grab is in a unique position with its core segments generating location, payment, and SKU level signals across food, groceries, rides, and fintech and data. Other platforms that simply cannot match up to this. I mean, the only other platform that has that type of a data moat in Southeast Asia is Facebook. And Facebook has everything. So for the ability for Grab to have that much data and for them to not be a big tech company, and be able to appeal to the merchants from an advertising perspective over Facebook and some of the other like ad products, I think is very, Very strong. And then finally, you have closed loop attribution, real actual calculable ROI. Now, why do we know that it's real and it's calculable? If you listen to the earnings call, last quarter, you only pay for an ad if someone buys the product. Meaning, if you're a small business and you sell a burger, you're only paying for the ad if someone actually buys the burger because of the ad. So very similar to Google PPC, which means the advertisers love it, the merchants, because if you're a small business, you can't afford to just put out the money without getting an ROI. So, I mean, for Grab, it's perfect because they're delivering results. And for the merchant, it's perfect because they're only paying if they get results. And that could be a massive tailwind for them long-term. Why ads could be the most profitable business. Digital ads are structurally high margin businesses. Some of the greatest businesses today, Google, Amazon, Meta, etc., with insanely high margins are fundamentally ad businesses. What all these businesses have in common is that they own the ad platform, the checkout delivery system, and the user relationship. This means they don't need to rely on third-party data. Instead, they have proprietary information about purchase behavior and ROAS, which is return on ad spend. Grab is no different. Assuming it achieves a base case of 3% take rate on on-demand GMV in 2027, along with a conservative 50% EBITDA margin, Grab ads will bring in $405 million in EBITDA, nearly 80% of fiscal year 2025's management guides for group EBITDA, meaning Grab is guiding for $480 million, which I think is going to be $500 million. By 2027, Grab could do 80% of the entire EBITDA of the company just in advertising, which also could be a massive growth opportunity for them. And then I'll link his Substack for anyone who wants to check it out. Again, he's a great account on Twitter who talks about Grab, and you guys can follow him there as well. Now, granted, this is a great thread. I think he did a great job breaking it down. I don't think this is the reason why Grab is pumping after hours. I think there's something else. But yeah, that is just one of the pillars of high margin businesses that Grab can go after. 11,000 shares of Grab at 490. Awesome. That is great, dude. Congrats. Incredible stuff. Yeah, I mean, could we see below 5 again? Yes. But in June, when we hit 450, that's when I wrote up that entire 20-page Google Doc, because at that point I was like, okay, either this is a pound the table moment or I'm completely wrong. And it felt more like pound the table just based on kind of the street disrespecting it. Also, I think the reason it fell that low was because they just did the convertible note offering, and you kind of need the stock to be low for the convertible note offering to give you a premium to the current share price for shareholders to get access to that premium in the future, which is why when it started falling during that time, it kind of was just like conventionally what happens when you do a convertible note offering, which is why also, people were able to look through it a little bit as well. Robinhood is up 1% after hours. Where's Oracle? Is that one down? Oracle is down about 2% after hours. Where's Opendoor back to flat after hours. And then Palantir as well, 151.85. That is also slightly green after hours. You can't watch any YouTube video on SE Asia and not see a scooter or motorcycle in the background with any green grab box on the back. Yeah, that's true. Dude, I was watching a TikTok live once and some guy was just walking through, I think it was Vietnam. And I was like, hey, I went in the chat. I was like, hey, do you use Grab? And he was like, hey, Amit. Yeah, I use Grab every day. I think it was like 2 months ago. I was like, dude, this is a brand that is like legit in this region. Legit in this region. And again, that's why when they raised 1.5 billion, it was 1.25, and they upped it to 1.5 billion on the convertible note at 0%. They raised $1.5 billion at 0%. You had to ask yourself, and the stock fell 7% to 468. That day, I was like, this is the best thing ever. Because they just got $1.5 billion capital for 0%. The purchase price is 40% above the conversion price, or the strike price is 40% above the conversion price. The conversion price just fell 7%, which is good because now the conversion is like there's meat on the bones for the convertible notes, because like you're not having to go 40% up from $5, but from 460. And Grab gets $1.5 billion to do whatever the hell they want to do with 0% interest on it. So that deal at the time was actually very strategic. The question is, what the hell are they going to do with the money? No one knows, but now their enterprise value is stacked up with, or their market cap, if you take out 9 billion, you have an EV that's not that aggressive compared to the revenue that they're putting up. So that's what we got on Grab. Okay, what else? What else is going on after hours? I know Grab has been taking up a lot of attention simply because of everything going on in regards to its share price. Still don't have a reason. I don't see any reasons. I mean, let's talk about Big tech. Actually, no. Before we do big tech, Paul Atkins was on CNBC today, and this is the new head of the Fed. Folks, he's bullish. He's really freaking bullish, and I think it's hard not to be exposed to crypto in some way, given what he said. We'll talk more about Tesla and Google after, but here's what he had to say about stablecoins, crypto, tokenization, and all that other stuff.
Now is SEC Chairman Paul Atkins, and we welcome him to the broadcast this morning. It was nice to see you in person at this table just a couple of weeks ago. This bill now officially in the books. How does it change things? And how does it change things for you in terms of the assets that you think are going to come into the market that you ultimately need to regulate in the public sphere, if you will?
Well, thanks, Andrew, and it's great to see you again, and thanks for having me back here again. So I thought this was a really great watershed and thanks to the president for his leadership and Congress for getting this out and getting that bill to the president's desk for signature. I think this bill the Genius Act is focused on payment stablecoins, and so that's not really within the SEC's ambit of regulation, but it's really for the banking regulators as is appropriate. But the one great thing about this is that for the first time now, the United States government has...
Folks, I just got the text from Steve. He's joining in 5 minutes, so he'll be on, and we'll get some of his thoughts on the market as well.
Put its stamp of approval on a very key and important, potentially very important digital asset that will, I think, help to lower costs, lower risks in the market, because we can now move towards an instantaneous almost settlement of payment versus delivery for securities, thanks to on-chain stablecoins. And that will help, I think, innovation and to really get our markets, to be the best in the world.
He said he bought something new. So we will see what Mr. Stephen Fiorillo bought today.
What's the role, therefore, of the SEC to push exchanges and all the other financial middlemen effectively to settle basically all transactions at what might be described as T0?
Yeah, well, potentially that's where we're going. Now, there are a lot of things that need to be worked out, and of course, to have some ability there to prevent fraud and in the marketplace, with respect to instantaneous settlement. Those things can be worked out as the marketplace adapts to that potential. But we've seen, and as far as now we're at T+1 settlement, and so of course, again, it's almost instantaneous. Delivery versus payment is something that people have dreamt about for many, many decades now.
I mentioned T0. That means effectively instantaneous settlement. T1 means a day, just for those, right. So we can explain it to the audience. Let me ask you a separate question. There was a report last week that has a lot of people buzzing about 401k plans and the possibility of including private companies meaningfully inside of 401k plans. And therefore, what that does to even your job, because historically, one of the reasons that private companies have not been in these plans is that they don't have the same kind of disclosure requirements that a public company does.
Yeah, well, thank you, Andrew. That's a really important point. And so the private markets have really grown a lot over the last, say, 30, 40 years, where there used to be primacy of the public markets for companies, including young companies, to try to seek capital for their research and development, to build factories and develop their products. Over the last 4 decades, the private markets have burgeoned, and there's a lot of capital there that provides through venture capital, through private equity, and now private credit. More recently, a lot of ability for existing companies and startup companies to tap into all of that capital. There's a big demand from investors, individual investors, to be allowed into those marketplaces. There are a few ways for them to do it now, but the SEC has made it difficult in the past. So what we want to do is work with the Department of Labor, and obviously at the president's direction, if and when an executive order comes for that. But regardless, we can work with the Department of Labor to help to have good guardrails for people to offer through various products that are registered for individual investors to put into their retirement plans for long-term investment. We have to remember that these private funds we have issues regarding valuation, issues regarding liquidity, issues regarding fees, and that sort of thing. So we need to make it so that individual investors are relying on fiduciaries to help them put these sorts of products, if they wish, into their long-term savings and retirement plans, but to have appropriate guardrails around all of that so that people are not hurt in the process.
Philosophical.
I mean, dude, this is a guy who is so ready to open up the markets to the crypto industry, and the regulatory frameworks are now getting in place. Even the way he's talking about 401k allocation, I mean, he's trying to say, hey, we're going to create a regulated way that keeps it safe, that takes into account all the different uniqueness of digital assets along with valuation concerns. We're going to put all that together and come up with rules that allow people to allocate to different assets in their 401k. And that, along with the broader momentum from the Trump administration and all the different players in the drafting of the crypto legislation, is only, in my opinion, going to make settlement T+0, which is kind of the core use of stablecoins, and one of the main elements for why tokenization will win. Remember, one of the reasons, outside of many reasons, that Robinhood messed up during GameStop is because of T+2 settlement. You had to wait 2 days to be able to actually clear all the trades. And when GameStop's running like crazy and Robinhood doesn't have the collateral, you can't wait 2 days. If it's T+0, things happen instantaneously. You cut out a lot of the middleman. Your financial architecture of how you buy and sell an asset becomes fundamentally different than what it's been for the past 100 years. And that right there can change everything. And I think the SEC knows that. Paul Atkins knows that. A lot of the people drafting this legislation know that, and they know that's going to only push things forward. That's also really bullish for Coinbase, which is why Coinbase has, cracked above 400 right here. 413 after hours. It was at 440, or 416 after hours. It was at 440 during the day. So it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff. It's a whole new world for crypto. And I think there's going to be a lot of players that capitalize on it and then ultimately benefit. Okay, so Centennial was up today. This is ticker symbol S. It still is up 9% on the day. It's up 2% after hours. Palo Alto said that they're not going to be buying them. Palo Alto Networks, these are both two cybersecurity companies. But the rumor was, I think at around like 1 p.m., that Palo Alto is buying them. And the stock jumped up like 15%. And then Palo Alto came out and said, we're not buying these guys. Still, it's up 9% on the day. It did get upgraded, so maybe the upgrade is keeping its momentum. But I wouldn't be surprised to see consolidation in the cybersecurity space, especially because cybersecurity has not caught a bid for a while, and Palo Alto's earnings the entire industry took a little bit of a haircut when those earnings weren't the best. CrowdStrike right here was up about 1.18% on the day as well. How am I saying Centennial wrong, dude? How am I, why, how do you say it? How do you say Centennial? It looks like a Centennial. Don't tell me that doesn't look like a Centennial, bro. It looks like a Centennial. Oh my goodness. This is why I love Grab. It's Grab. That's it. Grab. G-R-A-B. That's the number one reason I'm long Grab. It's Grab. That's it. Sentinel? Sentinel 1? Actually, I think that's right. I think that but dude, there's an I after the T. Why would it sound like 10? How is T-I-E-N sounding like T-E-N? You are saying grab wrong. Is it drab? Has it been drab the whole time? Well, whatever. Freaking Palo Alto's not buying them. At least that's what they said. Maybe Palo Alto's lying. But Centennial. Don't use Duolingo. That's a funny one. Oh, let's do the ETF update. Let's do the ETF update. Let's see in here. Did Steve buy 12 million shares of Grab? I don't know, but I have a feeling Steve's going to come on and say he bought some crypto coin, dude. I think that's what Steve's going to say. I don't think it's going to be a new stock. I think he's going to say I bought a new crypto coin. Okay, Matt's still up 19.67%. Tanner's up 10. I'm up 7.6. Steve's up 1.4, and then Chris is down 0.64. So it's Matt, Tanner, Amit, Steve, Chris on the ETFs. I don't have any news on Grab. We've been all trying to figure out for the past hour. It's holding though, folks. It's holding 9%, 583. We haven't cracked 590. But see, here's the thing tomorrow. Tomorrow could be fun. Tomorrow could either be a sell the news and it's people take profits and it goes down, or it could be fun. Because now that it's up 9%, if it even kind of holds 9% into the open, all the buzzers across the business wires are going to go and get an alert that a stock just went up 9%. And that could get a lot more people to be excited. The question then becomes, does it have the momentum to sustain that? And is there a group of people that start learning about the thesis and then get excited before earnings? And then can they give us a good earnings? That's like the real big question here. But if it doesn't dump in the pre-markets or doesn't dump at the open, it could get a lot of attention across Wall Street tomorrow. And then people will find out, wait a second, Howard Marks has 10 million shares of this. Wait a second, Ray Dalio has 6.5 million shares of this. Then people start wondering kind of what's going on there. So ultimately, tomorrow is going to be important. So if you queue an option call in Robinhood, it will be executed at 9:30 in the morning. So options don't execute after about 4:30 Eastern. So 9:30 in the morning, if it gets filled, then it'll execute. If it doesn't, then you'll see, and you can then change the pricing on your option. But it will not actually go through until the next day. NVIDIA's down after hours. What are they doing to NVIDIA? Why are they dumping NVIDIA? What is this? Why are they giving her a red candle? It's almost down 1%. NVIDIA. I don't see anything. I mean, NVIDIA said they're going to do earnings August 27th. That was the only news today. Oracle's dumping too. Is there any news on Oracle though? Oracle's down 2%. Okay, so I feel like there's something connected in that entire sector. Is there Oracle news? No, dude, this is all charts. This is all technicals. I don't see anything on Oracle or NVIDIA. Remember, we're getting into that part of the year where people take a vacation, so you might also see a lot of low volume coming in as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he has something new to announce in terms of what he has purchased. Let's see what he has to say. We all have our ideas. I think it's going to be something in the crypto sector, because I don't know if you guys know, but Steve's a crypto bro now. But let's have him tell us ourselves. What did you buy, Steve?
Hello, Amit. How are you?
You're smiling because it's a crypto something. That's why you're smiling. We know it's a crypto something.
So you, of all people, should be happy because I'm now using Robinhood.
I'm very happy that you're using Robinhood.
Because Robinhood's fees are significantly cheaper than Coinbase. I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Now, if I could sing, which I cannot sing, I would paraphrase the Island Boys song for this.
You should paraphrase Flights Booked by Drake for this, actually.
But I am now a crypto bro.
So what'd you buy? What the hell did you buy?
You know, I listened to some guy on CNBC this morning.
Oh, my God. I think I know what you bought. Put in the chat. What do you guys think? I think I know. I think I know it.
And if he's willing to put $650 million of his own money in this, I'll take a little piece.
What'd you buy? What is it?
So it pumped to like 15, and I got it like 1160 something, I think. Whatever that SPAC was for the Ether machine.
Okay, I knew it was that, but what, guys? What's the ticker? I think it's ETH-M. ETH.
It's right now. It's under the SPAC DYNX, I think. Hold on.
Yeah, Dynamics. Yeah, there you go.
Dynamics. Yeah, and it'll change to
Steve.
ET,
So you bought not just the SPAC. You bought a crypto SPAC, and you bought it because you saw a guy on CNBC.
I like what he said. I really
hold on. You realize this sounds toppy, right?
It sounds so toppy, but you know what? I bought Ether the other day, and I listened to what this guy said, and it makes a lot of sense. I was like, I'm going to buy a little bit today just in case it moves, and I'm really going to research it tonight, and I'm probably going to buy more. I am convinced. Like, I am really convinced.
Dude, hold on. This is the guy who couldn't answer the question on which one has outperformed Bitcoin or Ethereum. We laughed at this guy in the morning, just to remind you.
No, he answered the question since Ethereum has been a cryptocurrency, it's outperformed.
He gave a absolutely ridiculous answer to this question.
So,
which I'm about to pull up, but
I am absolutely convinced Ether is going to run to like 15 or 20,000 over the next 2 years. I'm completely convinced. And I think that there is a realm where staking ETH in an efficient manner can be a really good investment. And I know that I do have no interest in learning how to do that. So yeah, this company makes sense for a indirect investment.
All right, here's what he said today.
A landline.
Should listen to the whole interview, actually.
This is
We did in the morning. We did. I have some thoughts on the company, but first let's just hear this part.
Ethereum staking plus participation in the DeFi economy.
So you're an Ethereum guy. Do you own Bitcoin?
I'm not. I do not own Bitcoin.
None.
I'd rather have an iPhone than a landline.
Ooh, that's like a sick burn, the kids might say. But the sick burn is that Bitcoin has done a lot better than Ethereum over the last decade.
That's wrong. Ethereum has 50x Bitcoin over the last decade. If the price of Ether per Bitcoin over the last decade is materially improved. If over the last decade, since Ethereum started, you would be 50x wealthier had you owned
because it
Ether
doesn't include the
over
previous 10 years. You're talking about just the last 10.
since inception of Ether.
No, I know.
So since the Genesis block of Ethereum, if you
go from the original price of Ether to where it is now and go back to 50 cents for Bitcoin to where it is now.
Well, that's not the last 10 years.
That's what I said. It's not just.
So we can go back to maybe the origin.
Yeah, it's a fine answer. It's not the last 10 years.
I
He was asked a very specific question.
I think you like this guy because he said what you've been saying for 2 years, which is that Bitcoin is worthless.
Can I just tell you that I loved what he said about he would rather invest in an iPhone than a landline. I freaking love it.
I mean, if you're an ETH maxi that has an antagonistic relationship to Bitcoin, you probably love this guy.
You know what? I'm going to become an ETH maxi now.
Okay, hold on. First of all, why did you buy the stock exactly?
Because I liked what he said in the first part of the interview. And I had cash laying around in the account. So I was like, you know what? Let's buy some here just in case it moves tomorrow and I'm not in front of not able to do it. And we're going to really look at it over the next couple of days and probably buy some more.
Okay, but I'm just laughing because we've all done that where someone says something on TV and we buy it. But the broader question is, like, do you think a company that's like staking Ethereum and building a treasury is better than the underlying asset? Is my question. Like, why didn't you just buy more ETH?
Oh, I plan on buying more ETH regardless. I mean, I think there's room for both. And the way that he made it seem, and I'm trying to get the exact number right now, they're going to launch with more than 400,000 Ether on the balance sheet. And they're going to be staking all of that.
Right.
And then you got to think they're going to do the same thing as Tom Lee, issue shares, do equity raises to buy more, take the Michael Saylor approach. And if they're staking all of it, they're going to be able to probably generate a good yield on that.
But you can stake your own Ethereum.
No, I get that. But I can also buy into this, and it may give me a better rate buying this also.
But you're also buying into dilution, and you don't really.
I get that, but dilution to get more of it. I'm going to do both. I actually think that, because I read through the Genius Act the other night, I do think crypto is going to. I was very against crypto for a long time. I thought most of it was bullshit. And I always said the thing that I liked about ETH was smart contracts, but I didn't think that they would really take off because you have to lock up the capital at escrow in the beginning. And I didn't see a lot of companies really want to do that when they can keep the cash on the balance sheet for 30 days and generate the yield. But seeing what's going to happen or projecting out what I think is going to happen with stable coins, ETH is the layer that most of them probably will be built on, maybe Cardano. But it seems like when you look at who is holding ETH, Trump having 500 million of it, and some other people having a lot of ETH, and Tom Lee going on CNBC, I could just see it running. I really can.
Shout out to Josh. I'm putting his Twitter in the chat. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. He'll be on the show eventually again, guys, because he's a big ETH bull. He's the one who said ETH could go to 100K, and he was kind of kidding. He kind of wasn't. But take a look at this chart he just posted. Cumulative ETH Ethereum flows. Just the velocity of that chart. It started in July 2024. I mean, you're starting to get to the billions in inflows. Steve, I'm agreeing with you. I am getting ETH pilled on the concept of stable coins in particular.
Same here.
I don't know if that means you buy the treasury, but I think it means you definitely.
I think you can do both. I mean, Only time will tell, right? Like I'm putting in enough on this SPAC thing where if it goes to zero, I don't care. Like nobody should follow me on that. Like I'm legitimately putting in, if it goes to zero, it's not going to matter to me.
I just love that you call it a SPAC thing. I haven't seen the degen come out of you in a while. And I love that you're watching CNBC, some fancy guy talking
I
about
wasn't even
Ethereum.
watching. I was listening to it in the car driving to the office.
You don't even know what the guy looks like.
No,
He
I had no
says
idea.
something nice. Then you take out your phone while you're road raging and you say, I'm going to buy some of this
The
stupid
fact that
stuff.
he called Bitcoin as a landline is good enough for me.
See, this is why investing.
I'm going to make a T-shirt. Bitcoin equals landline.
This is why investing is emotional.
Oh,
Because
this
like
was 100% emotional.
And that's okay. Everyone has their own emotional reasons, but this is why investing is always emotional.
But I do think ETH is going to do well, and that's why I started buying ETH the other night.
Okay, before we keep going into ETH, Steve, Opendoor.
Oh, dude, I don't get it. I saw it was over like $4 at some point. Like
it was at $4.97, bro.
It's ridiculous.
It came down to 260 where it opened in the day, 270. Now it's back to 321. I mean, I know you haven't dug deep into any of this, but do you think this is all hype, or do you think Wall Street, or the retail has discovered something that Wall Street didn't, and they're squeezing the shorts?
No, I don't think that this is hype at all.
So you think there's a legit thesis behind Opendoor?
No, I think that these people are wrong.
Because then it's hype.
Well, right? When I think about hype, I can't see that people are really getting excited about this being a big business. I think people are looking at this as a short squeeze. I mean, it's just they have not delivered on their execution. I don't care if it's not found to lend anymore. I'm not going to get held up on that. But here's the thing. It was a 15 billion revenue company that couldn't even really turn a profit. I mean, they still lost money when they were doing 15 billion in profit. Okay. Even though they're losing less money now, I don't think the flywheel's there. If they had said, we are building an ecosystem, when you buy a house with us, you're getting access to a flywheel on our app. You need a gardener. This is the rate. This is in your area. It's all done for you. It's already bid out. This is the lowest price, blah, blah, blah. You need an electrician. Like if you got access to all that, I could see that there's some value in that. But once again, buying and selling a house on Opendoor, I've bought real estate before. I couldn't imagine myself doing that.
I don't think people are buying it for the platform. I think they're buying it because they think it's like undervalued from a rate play perspective, or they think that there is enough of a cult to, like there is this kind of stick it to the hedge funds type of thing, because at 50 cents it was being shorted.
Forget about stick to the hedge funds. When there was lower rates, it did 8 billion and then 15 billion. Think about that. They gained $7 billion in revenue year over year in 2022, and they still lost money.
Well, that's why we didn't buy it in December, right? The margins were so bad. Our thesis was, even if we get 5 rate cuts, they're not going to make a profit.
I don't see how they do. The balance sheet has been depleted. I mean, they went from having 1.7 billion on the balance sheet in cash to 559 million.
Which is not horrible still, because
no, but it's that it continues to be depleted. That's the problem.
Now, granted, again, as Matt says right here, it's trading under a 1 enterprise value to sales. I mean, it might be expensive theoretically because people don't believe in the growth story, but it's definitely not expensive on some of the conventional metrics, which is.
I mean, look, the book value has declined year over year since 2021 from 365 down to 89 cents.
So the question is, does it deserve a premium above 89 cents? That's the question.
If they were profitable, I'd say yes, but they're not profitable.
No, but profitable, that can't be the only reason.
I mean, so the only upside is in a lower rate environment, they were able to generate positive free cash flow. but they weren't able to generate positive EBITDA or net income. If they can get back to a point where they're free cash flow positive and they have better internal controls, maybe this can turn around. I mean, it doesn't look like they are in a position where they're going to file for bankruptcy anytime soon. Obviously, that could change, but they still have cash on the balance sheet. They're still doing billions in revenue. Obviously, to get to billions in revenue, there are people using the product. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around using an app to buy and sell real estate. I would rather talk to a real estate broker. Maybe I'm old, but stocks is one thing, real estate's another.
I mean, it's a good point. Oklo has no product, and they're doing fine. So, I mean, you want to hear the $82 price target? So the guy who's pumping it said,
"Well, you said $82 price target."
You want? I might as well just play you what he said. Why don't I just? Yes, 80. The guy who's leading the rally on this, $82 is his target.
Jesus.
Let me just pull this up right here. You might have seen him on CNBC before, Eric Jackson.
No, I do not know him.
He's the one leading this.
I said, okay, like let's turn the noise off and let's think of Carvana as an example, as a parent. And so the thing is, like, can they get to steady state profitability? Forward, some space, some niche that really hadn't been to that point, and grow a market share in what's a huge market, but it's so very fragmented to this point. And with Carvana, they were pre-pandemic, they were a darling. They were a growth venue, interest rates, and people saying like they have to one. And if you look at Opendoor still they're at the bottom. They're at that 400 down at 3 net level, and they're even less than 0.5 forward EV to revenue. So I think the lowest ever got was like 0.01 or some crazy number. They have high revenue, but the market doesn't think they'll ever be profitable. This quarter, which they're going to report in a couple of weeks, they've already sort of hinted that it's going to be their first EBITDA positive quarter in something like 3 years. And so the thing is, like, can they get to steady state profitability? I think they can. And if they can, that's when investors are going to do the same thing they did with Carvana. And they're going to say, well, I guess we were too bearish. I guess we got to recalibrate here. What's a good forward multiple to apply to this company? And I think 5x is reasonable. If you go out to 29, it's there's supposed to be $12 billion of revenue that year. That's the Bloomberg consensus number. If you pull it up on the terminal, that's how you get to smack $82 a share. If you kind of back out the debt and the cash, and you look at the share count and all that kind of stuff.
So 2029 revenues times about 5x, you get $82. Question is that a crazy way to be valuing this company? You're muted. You're still muted. I can't unmute you either because you muted yourself, so you can keep talking, but no.
Oh, shit. I think that's a crazy way to value any company, but I'm not on a Bloomberg terminal. I'm only seeing revenue projections of 2027. That's as far as it's going out. There's only 4 analysts that are willing to give those projections. It's $6.75 billion in revenue.
Well,
and keep in mind, we're supposed to be at 250 bips by the end of next year.
So either you think those estimates are conservative, or you think they're going to get to that 12 billion. They have to double then from 2027.
I mean, you got 10 analysts that are calling for 5.78 billion next year in a lower rate environment. So I don't know.
Well,
sure, this could go to 10 or 20, could go to 30 or 40. I mean, there are other companies that are unprofitable that are flying high, and there are companies that are profitable that are trading in the nosebleed section. Obviously, that can happen. I just think that those businesses probably have a more viable product at this point.
So do you think this... Okay, so let's get back to Ethereum, but we'll blend this into the discussion. Do you think the next leg of this market is led by an Ethereum?
I'll tell you, I think the crypto bros are going to come out like full force in the second.
XRP, dude, was up like 8% today or something.
Up again?
It currently right now, dudes. Guys, I don't know why I do this. It's at 355. It was at 365.
Just admit it. You love all the memes I send you about XRP.
No, every morning when it got to what? Freaking yeah, at 9:30 it got to 350 and I said, "Guys, I'm waiting for Steve's XRP text because I know it's coming pretty soon." As soon as it pumps, I know I'm going to get a picture from you.
I do think XRP is going to be part of the future. I think Swift banking network, you're going to see something.
But the fact that XRP and ETH are running, do you think that is toppish or do you think that is bullish?
No, XRP has been suppressed for years because of the lawsuit. The lawsuit's going to be completely over soon. Once that happens, XRP is going to run.
Okay, so
XRP has not made new highs.
So I think it was like $5 in 2018. So you're not afraid of it?
No. Not at all.
Well, okay, so do you know the Pudgy Penguins coin?
No, I do not know the Pudgy Penguin coin. No.
That coin is up 20% today.
Yeah, look, some of these projects, and I shouldn't be.
Tom Lee made his profile picture a Pudgy Penguin, by the way.
All right, I don't know what they do.
$2.4 billion market cap.
I don't know what they do. I don't know what the utility is. I think the name is,
they're penguins that are pudgy. That's what they do.
I don't know anything about it, so I'll just stop there.
But see, I'm just like poking.
I know where you're getting at, and I agree. There are probably still projects out there that really don't have utility. And
Steve, someone bought 20 million of CryptoPunks last night. You know what those are?
Did they really?
Yep. Those are those are the OG.
I know what they are. Everybody got fleeced because Gary Vee was like, everybody buy them.
Correct.
He called up Logan Paul and all those other guys like, oh, buy these.
Oh, speaking of that, I've got the clip right here. This is what Gary Vee and Logan Paul and these guys did back in 2021.
Yeah.
When CryptoPunks were really a thing.
62.
What? Huh?
There's probably not an investment I have that I'm more confident in than CryptoPunks.
Over Yugi's? Over fucking Bored Apes?
So Bored Ape for the next 15 years, VFriends for the next 15 years. I don't even want to use Bored Ape because I'll use myself.
Got it.
VFriends has to execute perfectly for 15 years to even be in the conversation with CryptoPunks, because unlike college, CryptoPunks sits in a collectible art framework of being the thing that established the whole thing.
Mona Lisa. Well, I mean,
that's
even more.
That's too big, but like
these were the conversations in 2021, bro.
Listen, I'm never buying an NFT. We draw the line at NFTs. Never buying an NFT.
I mean, this is what was happening back then.
Yeah, I get it. There was a lot of crazy crypto money going around.
Bored Apes are inspired by apes being a big thing in punks. When things play out in a 30-year window, punks is the only thing I feel safe about.
Well, you got 62, so
that's why I have 60.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, and people are like, well, that's because you have 62. No, I'm like, no, I have 62 because that's what I believe. Like people always have it reversed. Like, yeah, of course. I'm like, no. Like, you know what I mean? So
wait, how many?
I don't know, bro. Are we getting back to that world, or are NFTs a legit thing? They died out for 4 years.
No, they're not a legit thing. Stop. Come on.
Whoa, Universal Music IPO.
Wasn't Ackman trying to bring them?
Ackman was trying to SPAC these guys 4 years ago. Dude, Universal Music's IP is some of the greatest IP in the history of IP content providers.
Okay, great.
You've got every musician on the planet, basically, that's relevant, signed under Universal Music. I wonder what they'd be valued at, because they're not a tech company. But I don't know. But then again, so one thing I was saying last week is that if there's so many top signals and everyone's saying top, what if the opposite is that it's not a top?
We may be nowhere near a top.
We may be nowhere near it. Correct.
I still firmly believe we can hit 7,000 this year.
Dude, it's only how much away? I think
we got 2 earnings seasons left. We got this earnings season and we got one more. and we got rate cuts.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm worried about is if we have really good earnings this quarter and the market sells off.
Yeah, that could happen.
That can easily happen.
I mean, that happened to Netflix. Grab, by the way, 568 down from 590 after hours. Netflix.
It's still hanging around.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't collapsed, but it didn't go to the moon, which is probably healthy. So,
well, Netflix is also a little pricey compared to the rest of big tech.
Correct.
So I'm actually a little happy, even though it's in my ETF, that Netflix didn't pump on earnings. I would much rather see Alphabet and Amazon pump than Netflix.
Okay, so let's end out the show with this question. I was going to do this myself, but it's great that you're here. We can do it with you. Wait, before I ask you this question, how do you feel that you're now officially a crypto bro?
I don't feel any different. I just think it's hilarious because I always had XRP, but over the past week I've added Ethereum and HBAR. So
no, but like you are embracing the crypto personality.
You know what? Can't beat them, join them, right? Like it doesn't seem like the train's stopping.
So you're hopping on the train. You're becoming a crypto bro.
Listen, I'm not buying Bitcoin, but I'll tell you, I don't think that the train's stopping right now.
So what's the next coin? You gave us XRP. You gave us
forget the next coin. Ethereum and XRP are the coins. HBAR. Like when bring up the website, look at all those companies on the council. Like you can't tell me there's nothing there when you read the white paper.
I've not read HBAR's white paper.
All right. Alphabet and IBM are not going to associate with something that's a fugazi. Just not happening.
I don't disagree. I haven't read into it, but
just go to the website and show the screen. Look at all the companies that are part of the hetero council. Like that's what between that and me seeing O'Leary pumping, I'm like, well, if O'Leary's pumping it, people are actually going to take it seriously. And then when I actually looked into it, I was like, Jesus Christ. No, just scroll down.
All these companies are using their.
They're all part of the council. Like I see Dell, Google, and IBM there. I got to take it seriously. ServiceNow, you got to take this seriously.
All right. Well, is that 24 cents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15. And keep in mind, I'm not putting any crazy amount of money into this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing. If you're just taking a shot at it to not.
Yeah, I'm buying somewhere if it goes to zero, it doesn't matter type thing. But just to have some exposure to it.
Okay, the headline after hours for why NVIDIA's fading, guys, is this right here. OpenAI $500 billion Stargate AI project falters amid financing concerns. So
Masterson didn't fund it?
Well, now it makes sense why Oracle was down because we were wondering why.
Oh, yeah, it's really getting faded. It's 170.
I'm just saying, it's down a little bit.
Yeah, okay, it's down, but it's not really getting faded.
Well, Oracle's down, NVIDIA's down. I would imagine the $500 billion financing for Stargate is not going away because of lack of demand for data centers. I think there's more logistical concerns on the funding. Just like you said, see, I don't know if Masa-san wants to put that much money into it.
I mean, look, I'm more concerned about what NVIDIA puts up on the earnings call and what they say about China than Stargate.
Oh, that is true. Elon did tweet that they don't have. Elon explicitly said SoftBank does not have the money for this. Elon might be right about that. Speaking of Elon, Tessie in 2 days. I bought some Tesla. I'm curious.
Of course you did.
Steve, is Tesla? Are we going up? Are we going to the moon?
I don't know, man. Tesla could go to the moon.
I mean, no. Realistically, what do you think this looks like on earnings? Let me do a pump and dump with the chat. But what do you think it's going to be?
It's a coin flip. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 425. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 150. Like nothing is going to surprise
150?
me. Nothing is going to surprise me.
What?
450 or 150? I don't know. I don't think anything's going to surprise me. I could see it pumping or dumping. I don't think it's going to stay sideways.
Steve, I don't think it's a Twain cost to say that Tesla is
a Twain cost.
What?
A coin.
That was a joke. That was I messed up and I said coin cost twice over the past 2 days, and like subconsciously, and so I did it again this time for fun. But I don't think it's a coin toss between 450 and 150. I think it's a coin cost. Okay, that one.
What is going on here?
I don't know, bro. I think I have dyspepsia. I legit think I have dyspepsia.
Do you need an appetizer?
Oh, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. But I think it's a coin toss between 280, 280 and 350. I think that's
No. I'll give you 280 on the downside. But come on. You got to give it more upside potential than that.
No, the earnings are not going to be good. Why should it go?
Yeah, but it could pump off the earnings call.
Yeah, but then it's going to get faded. Bro, it does it every time. And then everyone wakes up and it's like, Elon, he just promised us stuff again.
Yeah, I know.
So I think 350 is where it kind of sells. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Okay, tell them about an appetizer, because you introduced this term to me and I think it's a great term.
So I learned the other day, because I'm convinced our phones spy on us, and I was breaking Mitch chops about the fact that he's in his late 20s and needs to take a nap during the day. And I get out, something came on my phone about an appetizer, where that's when you take a nap before you actually go to sleep. So I said to admit that he takes appetizers.
First of all, I don't take a nap. That was on Friday. I hadn't slept all week, so I slept
from 6 to 10, and then you freaking got up and went to bed at like 12:30 and slept to the next day.
I don't sleep during the week, so on Fridays and Saturdays I need my rest. So yeah, that's what I did. But
how much sleep do you get on a normal weeknight?
Okay, yesterday was actually really good. I think I slept at 11:30, but usually
and you got up when?
I got up today 7:45.
You got 8 hours.
Yeah, today was good, but
that's a lot of sleep.
I know. Today, usually it's like 1 a.m., 1:30.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, I got to show you this. What do you think about the Tesla diner, bro? You got to love this. You're a diner type of guy.
I do love a good diner.
You got to be bullish on this, bro.
I love a good diner.
Literally, you're going to be able to park your car and go to a freaking futuristic Hollywood type of diner.
Let's say.
I mean,
what is this?
It's a diner. What do you mean, what is this? It's a freaking diner. You see it?
Yes, I'm looking at it, but I'm trying to understand what it is. Like you sit up top outside and they have TV screens in the parking lot?
Do they have a video of this on YouTube, guys? What is the actual diner? Tesla diner. Let me see. I mean,
tons of.
There's a look right here. Oh, someone hold on. Someone posted it. Oh, okay. Let me pull up the actual tweet and then I'll pull it up.
Are robots making the food?
Well, I don't know if they're actually making the food, but they're part of it. By the way, 54% of you said dump on Tessie. 80% of you said pump on Google, which we'll talk about in a second. But it looks like Steve would agree with the majority of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's going to go down on earnings, but Tesla's the hardest company to predict. It really is. It all depends on what Elon says in the conference call. Doesn't matter what they put up on EPS and revenue.
That's in the diner. Dude, that's cool, bro. Don't forget why you bought this stock. The robots was the reason why you wanted to be.
Robots is the reason why.
Maybe you should think of rolling your covered calls and holding on for the ride. You could roll them out to like 350 a year and a half out from now, or like 400. You could still collect a ton of premium. It's not like you're going to get hit on the premium.
I could.
You don't have to leave the story.
I could.
Okay, Google. Pump or dump? What do you think?
Oh, I think it pumps. I think it pumps hard. I think search is going to do good. And I think that people are finally going to realize search is not being cannibalized. And if search, even if search has 1% year-over-year growth, I think that you can build a story that it ain't going away. And that revenue line may just slow, but it's still going to be a huge component. And YouTube is cannibalizing TV. So I think Google pumps. I really do.
By the way, those are some more pictures. It looks pretty freaking cool, dude.
Yeah, it looks like the cantina from Star Wars.
And then there's your menu. Got hot dogs, burgers, club sandwich, tuna melt, fried chicken and waffles, grilled cheese.
I mean, hold on.
It's a nice little business for them.
Why are we making avocado toast? Like, what are we doing there?
Dude, people eat avocado toast. Put in the chat if you eat. My sister eats that thing so much, bro. I'm not a big avocado toast dude.
Look, avocado is fine, but avocado toast, like, really? I don't get it.
Okay, so going back to Google. So what is the way you think this thing goes back from 190 to 175?
That the narrative about search continues to be that it's going to be cannibalized. They need more growth in search, again, to fight that off.
Do you think they're going to deliver that search?
I think they deliver. Absolutely. They're not showing us anything that they won't deliver. Services continues to grow. Google Cloud's going to crush because we know that there was too much demand for them to fill last quarter. We can't think that's going away. And then YouTube is growing. Services is growing. I mean, I'm for it.
Dude, if you gave Netflix's multiple to YouTube from on a revenue to
forget about it.
Dude, YouTube is worth 800 billion by itself.
Yeah.
Google itself is worth 2 point. It's almost half of Google.
I know.
I mean, now granted, YouTube's probably not profitable in my opinion, but still,
they probably are. Stop it.
I mean, it's a very dude. It costs a lot of money to host the videos, like a lot of money. So, like one of the reasons Netflix is not that profitable is because they have to pay a lot of money to AWS to store all the content. But the point is, like, Google YouTube is a massive resource across the world. It's growing like crazy. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to be disrupted by AI. AI is only going to help it. So I agree with you. Now, do you think the AI overview, AI GCP, do you think that stuff is going to be the crux of the focus on the call from Sundar? Like, what does he hang his hat on for this call?
I don't know. I think they're going to have to come up with something to show that they're really serious to take on Grok and the new ChatGPT model. I think they need to create a narrative about how Gemini is going to become more powerful and how it's going to integrate into Android and everything you do. They got to weave everything together.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that I've been using overviews every day, like almost 20 times a day. We've been using it live on the channel like 10 times a stream. I don't know if they're making any money off me, but they're definitely keeping me engaged. And eventually, if they can get more people into that overview to Gemini pipeline and then maybe paying for a subscription to Google's AI suite of services.
So I have my traditional TV, full cable package. I have YouTube Premium, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and I sometimes will re-up my subscription with Netflix if there's something I want to watch. I would say 70% of what I watch is YouTube.
100%. Same. I'm like 95%.
I would say 70%. And the reason I say 70 is because I just rewatched The Sopranos and I am rewatching Entourage now. So I can't say more than 70, but yeah, the majority of stuff I want to watch is on YouTube. And I think the thing that makes YouTube so great, look at your show. There's always new content. You never have to wait for new content. Like every day there's new content.
Yeah.
You're not getting that with any other service.
And YouTube, by the way, outside of the ad revenue split, they don't actually have to pay me to like make the content. Like I willingly do it. Obviously I'm incentivized, but like Netflix has to pay a studio to make or license the content.
Yeah, I think Netflix is going to be much different in the future. I think all that's going to go away and they're going to be able to create their own content and they're going to have user functions to create their own content.
Okay, I agree, but I think like The Office, like you can't just replicate that with AI. Like I think Netflix eventually has to pay to license that if they want it back on the platform, right?
Right, but I think that
or like an iconic movie.
So where I'm going with that is, okay, I didn't like the way Sopranos ended. Why in the future? Why can't I type in remake the last episode of The Sopranos and make me an extra couple of episodes? I think for a fee that you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, there has to be a fee because the computing costs
Yes.
to develop that new season.
Yeah, of course. And I think that will be in a range where it'll be all proprietary content. So anything on HBO Max, you can change things or have additional things made. I mean, look, everybody's got beef with every show ever made, something that they don't like about it. I mean, there's stuff about Game of Thrones I don't like, stuff about Sopranos I don't like. In 5 or 10 years, when AGI and all this stuff is flushed out, there's probably going to be a creator package of 40 or 50 bucks a month where you can type in what you want and get stuff exactly the way you want it.
Yeah.
Like, think about shows that ended, like The Unit. Phenomenal show. It only had 4 seasons. I would love to make a 5th season. I may be in the majority of probably like 2 people that want another season of The Unit, but in the future, for a fee, I'm sure that compute can do that.
I mean, dude, I turn into a crackhead if you take YouTube away from me. Like, YouTube is like, I don't think I've gone.
You make your living on YouTube. It's a little different.
No. But like in general, like I don't think I've had a day without a YouTube video, at least playing in the background. 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I finished listening to The Compound of Friends this morning on my way into work.
I am on YouTube at least once a day. I think every day for the past 10 years. Like I don't.
Did you watch The Compound of Friends this week with freaking JC?
Yes. Is there a certain part that you liked a lot?
Yeah, I think he's one of their best guests. I like him a lot.
You can share a clip if there was a part that you really resonated with.
No, I mean, I know what you want to share. So
wait, which part do I want to share?
I know what you want to share. Don't do that. I know what you want to share.
I genuinely don't know which part.
You know what you're doing.
I legit don't know which part.
You see that smile? You know exactly what you're doing.
I'm smiling because I genuinely do not know.
You know what you're doing.
But text it to me then. I don't freaking know.
You're not setting me up like that.
Dude, I don't remember what part in the podcast that I would be setting you up for.
Oh shit! You sent it to me.
Oh, I'm gonna pull that up now. I swear I didn't remember until you just said I sent it to you. Now I really remember. Now I freaking remember. I gotta pull that up, Steve. This is your boy.
And I didn't know that there were people who go around like, "Where is Michael Batnick?" I think that's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I remember I texted to you this Friday night or Saturday morning. By the way, Steve, for anyone asking, Steve did have Patsy's again.
Yes, I had Patsy's for lunch.
What is that exact?
It was only right considering Amit went to Olive Garden again.
Okay, first of all, the Olive Garden disrespect needs to stop. Okay.
The Olive Garden disrespect will not stop.
The Olive Garden disrespect should stop.
Okay, why did somebody just put Grinder in the chat?
Don't worry about it.
I don't understand why people call these things grinders or hoagies. They are subs or heroes, one or two.
I don't think they're talking about that, but that's okay. They're talking about the Grinder stock.
Oh.
Which I was bullish on, but I didn't buy enough of it at like $12. Where's the damn freaking...
Got rid of it.
Dude, where's the moment?
They got rid of it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe he... Oh, here we go. I think, is this it? Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, here we go. All right, so they're talking about crypto. This is what Steve's biggest content creator. He loves this guy. This is what he said about his beloved ex.
No, I almost signed up to his chart service.
See, you love this guy.
I think he's great.
Crypto markets. Ethereum is about 420 billion, 420 for those who partake. Then you got Binance at like 100, Solana at like 90.
Binance is the BNB token.
Yep. Yeah. And then Ripple like 200. Throw up the Ripple. Look at this chart, by the way. Come on, JB.
Yeah. Not for me.
Really?
Not for me.
You think this is a scam? You think one of those?
No, I just don't think anyone needs it.
Oh, because now we're buying things people need.
Well, no, from what I like to understand like what it would be used for.
I don't know what Ripple is.
I'm an
I know you
idiot.
don't
I'm an
care, but,
idiot like that. I like to like have an understanding of like why it would have value before I buy something.
I don't know
You're
anything
crazy,
about
man.
this, but what I do know is that there aren't any
I don't
cryptos
know
that look
anything
like
about
this.
it either. I read 5 things, but like that's my bias. Like, oh, this is like it's a okay to have, but nobody really needs it.
Well, hold on,
I don't care.
but you're like a chip maker expert now too. Like you don't know
No.
anything about chips,
I don't know anything about anything.
right?
Dude.
That's my point. So
Pringles.
what's the
He's a
difference?
big Pringle guy.
I'm with you, bro. I don't know anything about chips or oil and gas drilling or
Well, I understand. If it moves, trade it. Got it.
what do I know?
There you go.
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't
said
like
he doesn't know
XRP.
anything about it.
He doesn't like Ripple, bro.
He doesn't know anything about it. He even said that.
That's fair. He did say that.
He did say that.
All right, so Tesla, you think dumps on Wednesday? Google, you think pumps?
Yeah, I would, if I had to put money on it, Google pumps, Tesla dumps, without a question.
I kind of think they both pump.
That could happen too.
I kind of think they both pump, but
That could happen also.
Wednesday we're going to find out. Are you buying the Figma IPO?
I don't even know what Figma is.
Okay, so Robinhood just unveiled. You guys can request. You can. I'm talking like a baby,
Dude, what is wrong with you? Do you need an advertiser?
No, my mind moves too fast when I'm speaking, bro, and then the words just like they come out before I can actually speak. You can request.
Dude, are you now? I got a question. If you're just doing this on purpose?
No, dude, I'm not. You can request.
Wow.
You can request shares. Like learning how to read for the first time on Robinhood. Ticker symbol is FIG. They're growing 50%. They're profitable. They have $1 billion in cash. They almost got acquired by Adobe by $20 billion. They're a project management design platform. Is that at all compelling to you? Or not?
Yes.
It's kind of compelling to me as well. I think their long-term moat is something to question, but
What's it going to IPO at?
well, 16 is the valuation. I think this thing goes to 32 pretty quick.
Okay.
Pretty freaking quick. I don't even know if you're going to be able to get shares at 16 because I think it's going to be oversubscribed. But
yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Adobe tried to buy them. Europeans didn't let them.
Ooh, that's even more interesting.
It's probably going to be worth more than what Adobe tried to buy them out for. 100%.
Okay.
If the momentum can be
even more interesting.
25 to 28 is the range. Yeah, I mean, you guys can apply for it on Hood. I don't know if they'll give it to you. I kind of doubt it. I think it's going to be a lottery system. So if you get it, then there's going to be a lot of people trying it. This is like a Silicon Valley startup that is held in a very high regard. So there you go. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's available I mean, it has to be available worldwide. I would imagine in Europe, if your brokerage allows IPOs, you should have. Do European brokerages allow IPOs, guys? Is that a thing? Like, if you type in Robinhood in Europe right now, FIG, does it pop up? I feel like it has to. I feel like, of course, European brokers would give out IPOs. But I definitely know Robinhood does in the US. Yeah, okay. So then if you're in Europe, then you can apply for it as well. And then you might be able to get it.
I mean,
imagine a bit after smoking a joint, you would have to use Duolingo to understand. Oh my gosh. All right, so I guess this week is going to be a big week for earnings. And
I mean, are we buying anything else in the earnings? Like, should we buy UNH? Like, I feel like it's good value here.
It's great value. I have a little UNH. I think this would be the time to go heavy if you think it's, 450s, 470s fair value.
I just don't know enough about what the legislation means for it. And that's the only thing keeping me out of it.
The problem about UNH is this an opportunity cost on your capital right now?
You can make that argument with everything. I mean, if it goes up, it doesn't matter. Sure, you can make more money somewhere else. But
so that's my point. Every investor has to ask themselves, hey, do I want to be in a really safe, quote unquote, safe, undervalued company and to wait it out, which has to be the thesis, or do I want to take a chance somewhere else? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'd rather be in Salesforce than UNH personally.
I agree. I agree. I did not actually call it a pile. You know why I called it a pile of shit today? I said it as a joke. I called it a pile because everything was, all the growth names were down. And then I was like, and then before I clicked on UNH, I was like, oh, UNH has to be up because everything growthy was down. And then UNH was down. I was like, this pile of shit. Like, why is UNH down on a day where all the high beta names are down? It's not actually a pile of shit, but the DOJ stuff is the headwind that I think everyone has to be ready to deal with on UNH.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I just don't know how they're going to play out. I would feel better about Salesforce.
Have you bought more since last week or no?
No, this week I'm going to buy more probably. I really think that they are so undervalued. It's disgusting.
You look, UNH and Salesforce, I agree, are undervalued. I think it's about narrative with these guys as well.
And look, we could be headed for a pullback also. I mean, it's really going to depend if how much.
I mean, we got a pullback. Hood was down 5% today. That's definitely a little bit of a pullback there. Not across the broader market, but like high beta. That's what I'm saying. High beta names, Hood, Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, there are companies like Cloudflare and Palantir. They're trading at ridiculous multiples.
Yeah, they haven't had much of a pullback yet.
And that worries me because it's starting to feel kind of like 2021. They're great companies, okay? Cloudflare is a great company, but it's trading at 248 times earnings. That's crazy talk. Crazy talk.
Yeah, I don't know why Cloudflare is getting that multiple. Rocket Lab was down 8%. HIMS was down 5%. SoFi down 2.5%. I mean, but then you had Google, Meta, and Amazon go up today.
Yeah, the bigger it's just going to get bigger.
But that to me was healthy. Seeing the top 4 names lose some and then maybe some of that money come into the bottom 3, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. I don't think that's crazy at all. So I don't know. I think consolidation over the next month would be nice. Obviously going higher would be great too, but seasonally every August sucks. And if we avoid that, I would be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting a lot of stock into that considering this is a much different era than 15, 20 years ago. People go on vacation, they can still move money around instantly. So I'm not buying that.
Not buying what?
That August is going to be historically a bad month.
What do you mean? You can't buy it. There's no one's asking you to buy or sell anything. That's what the facts are, that August tends to
I get that. I'm just not buying it.
You can't not buy it. That is the fact.
I cannot buy anything I want.
No, that's not how it works. If I told you, no, if I said July historically is up 1.5%, you can't just say you don't believe that because the data.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not buying it. I didn't say I don't believe it. It can turn around.
You're being very clever with your wordplay here. But the point is, you got me. I don't even know how to respond to that. So
there you go. But hey, cool. Palantir is a $362 billion market cap. Cool.
It's pretty freaking cool, especially if you bought this thing at $7, just lay back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's great. It's just crazy that nobody's selling.
Dude, nobody's. No, but that's the
crazy part. It's like you made, I don't know, 1,500% and you're not selling. Like, what are we doing here?
Some dude tagged me on Twitter on Saturday. I don't know if I have his posts saved, but he sold, I don't know how many shares, but he made a big post of him selling. There are people that are taking profits here. It's just there's so many people ready to buy.
So many people buying.
So
many people buying. And look, I don't think Palantir has to go back down to 60, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 110 or 100 and then goes back up again.
I think if they have a crappy quarter, then anything is possible. But I think they're going to crush. I think Q2 is going to be phenomenal. And then the market just has to figure out what do they want to do with it.
The market's going to have to figure out what they want to do with it. Let's say we get to a point where it looks like they're going to generate $1 billion in net income this year, which would be a 80% year-over-year increase, which would be great, right?
Yeah.
If that happens, then you have to say, okay, is Palantir generating $1 billion in net income, or Salesforce generating $7 billion, or Cisco generating $12 billion, or Oracle generating whatever they generate? What's the real valuation? Because it's generating so much less profitability, but it's bigger than almost all these other companies.
But that question could have been asked many, many dollars ago. So I don't feel like those questions are relevant.
Maybe not.
Or maybe they should be relevant, but like at 85,
Well, they definitely should be relevant. It's just sometimes the market doesn't care.
But Palantir's defied reality when it comes to the relevance of that question. Because if not,
defied reality more than Tesla defied reality.
Yeah. And the scary part about this is Tesla's not growing anymore. Palantir, if Palantir puts up 50% growth, are we going to 400 billion? Like,
yeah, but in all fairness, Palantir is also not even doing 5 billion in revenue.
But if they increase the guide, which I don't think they will do this quarter, but like if they were to increase the guidance, which it's unrealistic to expect that in my view. We can't put that pressure on them. But if they can pull up the growth, even if it's not 5 billion.
Look, it is a phenomenal company, without a question, a phenomenal company. I just don't know how much more gas is left in the tank because it's exceeded everybody's expectations. Ives' expectations were the highest on the street, and it blew right through it. And his expectations were for next year.
Yeah.
Or this year now. It's just, I don't know.
Earnings season, folks. It is here. It is here. All right. I think that's it for us. I will try to get you guys as many answers as I can on the move for Grab After Hours. I will be live with Tanner and Roy at 9:30. We'll talk Robinhood predictions, and we will try to figure out
Robinhood.
Are you buying before earnings?
Buying what?
Robinhood.
I'm going to buy some more Ethereum on their app. I'm not going to buy.
Well, that's good enough.
I'm not going to buy the stock.
That's actually good enough. You just keep buying your DCA on Ethereum for Robinhood or for Ethereum on Robinhood and continue.
I cannot believe how much Ethereum has freaking moved.
Dude, it was 2,200 last month, bro.
I cannot believe this. Like in 5 days, it's up 21%. In a month, it's up 55%. Like this is crazy talk.
She's having her moment. And I think the fun thing about this is Wall Street is embracing it. The Ethereum inflows are heavy, and stable coins is the thesis. Robinhood is doing tokenization on Ethereum's blockchain. I mean, like, there is plenty of reasons to be bullish.
There's a lot of catalysts right now.
A lot of catalysts.
There's a lot of catalysts.
All right. That is it. Thank you, everybody. Steve's Twitter right there in the chat. You can follow him on Seeking Alpha. And I'll be back later tonight. And we will keep on going from there. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. See you guys later tonight.
Later, everyone.
Bye, everyone.